Order, honorable members. I've been informed that the whip party has agreed that there will be no notices of motion or motions without notice. Before we proceed to questions, I would like to take this opportunity to welcome ministers from the economic cluster. We will now proceed with questions as printed on the question paper. I will now call Minister of Agriculture, Forestry and Fisheries, starting with question number 186, Minister Zokwan.
Bulele sihlalo wale ndlu namalungu abekekileyo. The Department of Agriculture, Forestry and Fisheries has an extension recovery program aimed at revitalizing extension and advisory services in the sector. The department promotes, through a cabinet-approved national policy on extension and advisory services, an integrated and pluralistic extension and advisory services. These include leveraging the support and technical expertise of commodity organizations through the secondment of government-employed extension practitioners, as well as implementation of provincial extension coordinating forum for joint planning of extension programs between government, industry, producers, and other relevant role players in the sector. The department regards climate change as a serious threat to developmental interventions. In this regard, the department is collaborating with the Dutch Geldachet al Internationale Zussmannshal through the Department of Environmental Affairs to conduct climate-smart agriculture skills and audit among government-employed extension practitioners. The project includes identifying existing skills and knowledge, as well as conducting training need assessment. I want to say, want extension officers who are not only advising, but can also do research so that they're able to give quality information to different stakeholders as we have reported.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Sifako.
Le tona la tsa temo le jwalo ya dikgwa. Potso e latelang ke gore re dira eng mmogo le letona la tsa metsi go thibela metsi a fetang fela a na ka thusa balemi gagolo jang mo metseselegaeng ka go aga matamo jalo le jalo. Ke a leboga.
Honorable Minister.
Ke a leboga. Mtulastulo chairperson, house chairperson. Department of Agriculture ka sebedisano le Water Research Commission has conducted a number of research studies around agriculture, I will never indulge into debates with people who raise issues that are not relevant. But what I was trying to say is that our department, in conjunction with the Water Research Commission, has conducted programs to make sure that we're able to harvest water from rivers and other resources to ensure that people can be able to access such water, and also to train people in the way we can use water efficiently, avoiding to irrigate during hours where there is really a problem of evaporation, and also to look at means and ways we can be able to enhance our programs going forward. And that strategy is really to make sure that agriculture provides a framework of regulatory support and incentivize those who use water efficiently. That is an attempt that we are doing because climate change is a challenge, and as such, we can be able not only looking at water usage, but also looking at other ways like coming up with new cultivars that can be able to ensure that under any other condition, they can be able to survive all manners of drought.
Thank you. Honorable Smith.
Thank you, Honorable House Chair. I would like to know from the Minister, what is the plan to roll out tunnel farming in a big scale throughout the country?
Honorable Minister.
Thanks, Chairperson. The issue of tunnel scale agriculture is also going to be an issue that our department is doing research in, because through that process, we are able to extend the productivity even beyond seasonal planting. You are also able to minimize the usage of water and also be able to control temperatures. And in that manner, you are able, therefore, to give farmers and also control the production thereof and link them to particular markets. I think, Mr. Smith, I'm answering your question, unless I didn't hear properly.
Thank you. Honorable Kaula.
I think the Minister might have misunderstood my question. I said, when will it be rolled out? Not what is tunnel farming, because we know what's tunnel farming and what is the positive implication. I want to know, when will it be rolled out throughout the country in terms of small-scale farming?
And accept. Already, if you go to small-scale farmers, you will see a variety of programs. It is, by the way, part of the program we are rolling out when you speak of agri-parks. In some of the areas, we do put up those tunnels, hydroponics, because they give you a sustained approach. Just like in other product, you need to train the farmers. You need to ensure that before you do that, there are also uptake agreements, because those are very expensive processes. But as a department, we're engaged in making sure that our farmers can be able to engage into tunnel farming. The scale differs from province to province, especially on areas of vegetable production, is where that is more suitable. If you go to Northwest, you'll find a project called Farming from the Sun, which includes the absorption of photovoltaic cells that are using for energy resource, as well as the harvesting of water to produce a number of variety of vegetables. It is a work that is done in conjunction with the government of Germany, together with the University of Northwest.
Thank you. Honorable Kaula.
Angithokoze sihlalo hloniphekile, hlonishwa ngqongqoshe. Isomiso phakathi kwezifundazwe ezikhahlamezeke kakhulu kube isifundazwe sombuso obukhosi bakwaZulu. Lapha kwisifundazwe indawo ekhahlamezeke kakhulu kunazo zonke kube isifunda saseZululand. Nginolwazi mhlonishwa ukuthi abafuyi nabalimi balapha endaweni yaKaNongoma babecelile ukuthi bacela ukuthi ba provide ngamadamu okugcina amanzi ukuze nxa kunesomiso imfuyo ingafi kakhulu, imfuyo ikwazi ukucosha indawo la izophuza khona amanzi. Bengicela ukwazi nje ukuthi mhlawumbe kukhona yena osekwenziwe ngalokho, mhlawumbe uma umhlonishwe engabe enganalo ulwazi ngoba umbuzo uqhamuka mhlawumbe usuyi-follow up, kukhona nokuseyinhlelweni, noma ke mhlawumbe makungephenduleke lokho kungahlelwa yini ukuthi bacosha amadamu, ngoba njalo makunesomiso indawo kaNongoma iyona ekhahlazimezeka kakhulu, kakhulukazi ngasohlangothini lamadamu azophuza imfuyo. Ngiyathokoza sihlalo.
Ngiyathokoza. Minister.
Ngiyabonga, Chairperson, House Chair. Kwinyani lokho ukhuluma ngohloniphekile. And kwinyani futhi ukuthi kumbuzo wokuqala bobuza ukuthi senzani uqiniseka ukuthi amanzi emvula liqeda ukuna khona KZN, part of KZN, lamanzi awahamba bheke elwandle. Siwakhupha siwafake emadamini kuyiprogram yomqongo ombuso lokho ibile phaya KZN sengidinga nje indawo bingile last year ngiyohlola ngafumana ukuthi likhona idame kwabini amadama amatsha ayenziwayo namadama amadala asale egcwele usanti ukwaklina khona ukuze makufika imvula abe nako ubamba amanzi so lokho kusemqokini and asiphelanga apho kuphela no bora iboreholes uqiniseke ukuthi siyakwazi utsala amanzi aphansi komhlaba khona ukuze izilwanyana nabalima ivegetables bakwazi ukuphila ewe kini kufuna ukuthi lokho sikhulumisana nedepartment yaka water resources kungoko bengitshilo ngathi siyasebenzisana newater research commission ubone ukuthi singenza njani ukuthi konke lokho sokufikelele kona kusisidingo kuba iclimate change manje seyifikile isomiso asithanda ukuthi kuphinde kufike esinye ibe imeko isenjalo.
Thank you. I now call on the Minister to respond to question number 207 asked by Honorable Smith. Honorable Minister, 207 by Honorable Smith.
Thanks, House Chair. The ongoing scourge of criminal attacks in the farming community involving farm owners and farm workers is as a result of a number of varieties of issues. Some are social, some are criminally inclined, but some are as a result of a situation where the coexistence of the two communities is not governed. I'm sure very soon we have heard about a spate of evictions that has removed the farm workers from their own existence. Such issues, I think, can be better managed. We have heard also the killing of farm workers, mistaken for animals by those who are hunting. I'm not trying to imply that it is farm owners who are only responsible. I'm saying, therefore, that for us to improve the coexistence of the farming communities, it is to build a coexistence, is to improve the labor relations arrangement in the farming areas, is to ensure that farm workers are treated humanly. I'm not for a minute saying that it is the behavior of farm owners who are beating, but in some instances, we have seen such things are occurring. By the way, last year, we held a stakeholder meeting in which we invited the then acting commissioner of police and different stakeholders, because this thing is really worrying us, where animals are being killed on farms, where farms are being lured to go up to be murdered, where farm workers are being attacked as if they're animals. I think as a country we need to find a way we can create harmony within the farm dwellings. Without a productive farming community, there's no guarantee for food for tomorrow. For this issue to be dealt with then is to remove the belief that it is caused purely by a particular orientation of opinion by people who hate farm owners. The other threat we need to look at is the fact that migrants from our neighboring countries are also getting employed without documentation. As a result, where there are tensions, that may result in a number of issues. By that, I'm saying we need to find a way we can dialogue, how to reduce stress, how to make sure that farm workers feel, respected by their employers, and farmers intermingle with communities. We need to build an environment where farm workers are able, farm owners across color line can begin to extend hands of assistance to each other, and we can live in coexistence. The police has a role to play, not only to arrest those who have committed crimes, but to be able to arrest them before crime is committed. But for that to happen, I believe when farm workers can be able to report each and every person who's unknown in a vicinity to their employers or to the police system, for that to happen, I think we need to improve the coexistence of those communities.
Thank you. Honorable Smith.
Thank you, House Chair. Thank you, Minister, for the answer. Minister, I would like you to go a bit more further in terms of the interdepartmental coordination between your department, police, and so forth, to make sure that we combat this job-killing crimes.
Honorable Minister.
Thanks, Ohlon Pegile Babo Smith. I can assure you this, that we have had dialogues, including dialogue with the AfriForum, which is an organization that looks at the plight of farmers. We have discussed this matter, and I agree with you. They gave us an example of a successful project they ran in a town called Elliot, where they were able to coordinate with taxi owners, such that taxi drivers can be able to report anybody they see at night with cattle, so that they can, because this thing is linked also to cattle theft. You can't remove cattle theft from the killing of farmers. I'm saying, therefore, this is broad. We need to get the police department to work with us, as I said. Where possible, we can create maybe some structures of police that people can report to. We need to get even the security cluster so that we can be able to sniff out if there are people who are planning to do these matters. But to me, my success is between communities adjacent to farms, as well as the role of farm workers, to understand the fact that one farmer killed, one farm worker killed is one too many. This country does not deserve to have that. Each and everybody's life is important. But it starts with the farmer, in my view, because he holds power over those he has employed, so that we can link them to see each other as a comrade, if that I can use that language in this house, or a friend, so that they are able, therefore, to improve the coexistence of each. And I agree with you. I have seen pictures of farm workers, even in area like the Pochos room, whose cattle are cut into pieces on the farm. It is a threat we dare not see happening. But I want to say, if we can follow the laws of this country that deals with the issue of evictions, which I believe the Minister of Rural Development will deal with, I'm sure we can be able to curtail this problem. It's broad. Is not, but I'm sure a coordination of farmers and farm workers, and each and every body, as I'm saying in that area, farmers were able to train the people from the township in using their skills to plant vegetables. In exchange, people became to be eyes and ears of the state so that they can report anybody they see in an area who's not supposed to be there.
Thank you. Honorable Dlamini.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair, and thanks to the Minister for the response. Minister, go plight yama farm workers. Last week you had the provincial week in Mpumalanga. Besise Mecklenburg, we visited some farms there. It was shocking to note ukuthi kunabantu abasahlupheka kangaka la South Africa, which we call it a democratic South Africa. Kunama farmers asahlupha abantu njengama slaves. In one farm, we're told that an old lady carrying a baby, not only that, she was sick. She was chased by a farm owner with a bakkie, pointing at her with a gun. Atabahambe lapana, cut water, plowing inside their yard, no resources, nothing. And ingomo zabo ziyathathwa imfuyo yabo because he feels that they don't have to stay there. It was not the only incident, it happened with the other farm. Labatathelwa khona imfuyo yabo because umfama, let me use that, umfama ucabanga ukuthi bayam-owa ngokudlisa inkomo zabo laphana ku-farm. What is happening with the plight of the farm workers in farming communities? I know that there are good farmers because one of them around that area is assisting the farm workers. It means that
have the mic coming close to you. As you conclude, have the mic coming close to you so that they can hear you.
Oh, yeah. I'm saying, we are saying they are good farmers because one of them is the one who assists them even with water. When they're, whether they come from the municipalities bringing water, he will assist them. But a number of them are still racist.
Honorable Minister.
Mangithokoze ngibonge ukusihlalo wenu. And repeat to say that the plight of farm workers, the plight of farm owners is a challenge to the country. It is an issue that I think we cannot deal with it otherwise. I agree with you. A farm worker always will stay around on the land of the farmer. I think in this country we have dealt with a number of legislation. As I was saying that the Minister of Rural Development and Land Reform will be dealing with the issue of evictions. It doesn't matter at what stage that happens. We need to make sure that it remains humanely. To chase a person with a bakkie, an old lady for that matter, the issue you are raising, is one area I was saying we need to do away with those things. as they may can create an atmosphere or an attitude towards farmers, and hence they are already vulnerable. And I think we need to improve the coexistence of farmers. We need to improve even the issue of inspectors to go and check under what conditions are those farm workers living under. It is a situation, by the way, that blew out a strike around the Western Cape that took some weeks. I think it was more of the way farm workers feel treated. Those people work even if it is hot, it is wet, it is raining. They have to be at the place. There can be no farmer who is successful without willing and happy farm workers. So our laws have to be applied. And I want to say this, that if farmers can only do one thing, they go through the legal processes if they have to deal with such issues, such that people, even if they have to be, before a person is chased away from a place, we should be guaranteed that there's a place he is going to stay in. Those are issues I think this country does not deserve. I'm happy that we have cited the fact that there are farmers who treat their workers better. We need more of those farmers. We need more of farmers who will be able to train their farm workers on their own. I think the program of 50-50 is one of the ventures that this has come into. And I'm sure my counterpart will expand on that, because it creates a coexistence of farm workers and their owners, so that they become a family than always relating on the basis of how much one is paid by the other. And I want to say this, that to that old lady, I hope she can find a space where she can stay. We don't need that in a new South Africa, where people are treated as slaves in this time and age.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Teplanch.
Thank you, Chairperson. Minister, thank you very much for your questions this far. Minister, I think you will agree that farm attacks, farm murders of both farmers and also, people working on the farms are very high at the moment. I think we will all agree that that is unacceptable. And my question is, obviously there is a rural sort of safety plan in place. And my question to you, sir, is, are you involved? I know you are the Minister of Agriculture, but from your responsibility, are you involved with the police and other security agencies to revisit, re-look, reformulate, re-strategize this plan? Are you involved in that, and what is your involvement? And sir, what can you tell us that will give us some hope today? Thank you.
Honorable Minister.
Thanks, Hlalowendlu. And I want to say to Honorable Teplanch, it is true that in a normal situation, we need to be coordinating around that matter. But I know very well that my deputy sits in a forum that deals with issues, given his expertise in police situation. But the question that we may ask is, are we doing more? I will say we need to do more, but it cannot be an issue of policing alone. It is an issue of us creating an awareness amongst our people, amongst our communities, on the value of a farmer, on the value of a farm worker, that none of them should be threatened, because even those who buy our commodities rely on the policies we pass on. We don't want our commodities not to find space in the global market because of this situation in the country. Therefore, your ideas will be more appreciable as to how best can we as a country, how best as we can, is this house, can find ways and policies we can. One of those things is that as political leaders, we need to be very careful of what we say in the public space around the issue of land and the issue of farming, because it may expose some of the people into dangers.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Kaula.
Thanks, Chair. By the way, congratulations, Honorable Minister, for escaping the reshuffle. Chairperson, in your original response, Honorable Minister, you touched more on the issue of race, which then prompts me to want to find out from the Honorable Minister as to if there is clarity. Are these farm attacks, assaults and killings racially motivated, or are they ethnic, or maybe how much of it is an instance where a white farm worker is assaulted or killed by a black landowner, and vice versa, and how much of it involves foreign nationals? I just want to have clarity on those issues, if maybe more of it is criminal elements or maybe it's racially motivated. Thank you, Chair.
Honorable Minister.
Yabonga, hlalo wendlu. Mangiye ngithi mhlakazi ohloniphekile. Angifuni usebenzisa ingcabango zami. Ngiyawu ngitsho ngithi saba nawo umhlangano nombutho obizwa AfriForum. I-reason yami ngoko yayikukuthi babekade bephakamisa ukuthi lezi issues ze-farm killings are more informed by racial divisions okanye are politically motivated. But in our discussions, we found that in their own research, they found that there are elements they believe that there may be people, given the fact that in our country, people commit crime irrespective of where they come from. But the brutality of it shows that it may be some of the issues I have referred to, that interracial or people who have moved to South Africa unemployed, or others may have been employed and they're able to check the system, because in most cases, the arrangement of our farming communities is that a farmer is isolated among his employees. So he becomes vulnerable. But I don't think for a minute there is a proof that says a farmer is attacked because he is white. It may be that the numbers of farmers currently, they are more. I don't think that black farmers are more safer. If people believe that you have got money, you may be a victim. So the issue I'm raising, therefore, we need to find a way we can build bridges between farmers and farm workers, between communities and farmers, by improving our interactions and our relations. Through that method, I believe we'll be able to find a way. And I want to say this, that if we believe that we can be able to address food security in this country, we cannot do it by threatening the existence of farm workers and farmers. But I would like to caution farmers that before they employ people who are not documented in this country, they should avoid that, because if a person is documented, even if an incident happened, it is easy for the police to use the systems to chase him. And we have been made aware that in some of, especially areas bordering our neighboring countries, I won't mention which countries, many people are finding employment in farms. And I don't think that should be encouraged unless such people have got documented to be employed, because you cannot manage the worker relations between employee and employer unless such are formalized through documentation. And I believe, therefore, that there has been no proof in my desk or anywhere that these killings are racially motivated. I don't think criminals check before they attack you whether you speak whatever language or where you are from, as long as they believe that you have got money in your possession. And all South Africans, therefore, have a role to make farming communities safer. But it begins with the farmer and his employees. Once we can harness the relationship in that level, I believe we can be better placed to be able to sniff off all those who have got ulterior motives.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. We now come to question 227. Honorable Tebula is not in the house, but an arrangement was made in terms of the rule. Honorable Mokwele is standing on behalf of Honorable Matevula. We now come to question 227, Honorable Minister.
Thanks. The Mudzunga Fisheries Project. This fisheries project is an aquaculture project located in Limpopo and province, and has benefited from the Department of Agriculture, Forestry and Fisheries and the Limpopo Department of Agriculture and Rural Development through the Comprehensive Agricultural Support Program in order to ensure project viability. Government has made provision for fish breeding stock, which means you breed fingerlings so that you can give to different farmers who can be able to do fish farming. And in order to ensure, and therefore, this project is still ongoing according to our documentation. This has already been delivered to the project through the Limpopo Department of Agriculture, that funding and that development. In addition to the provision of fingerlings, a stock rotation plan for the project is in place to ensure its continued availability of fish for the project. That means that you don't only breed one particular fish species, you do a variation thereof. Thirdly, the project will be prioritized for training opportunities that are relevant. Previously, the project beneficiaries received training on aquaculture in the People's Republic of China through the Department of Agriculture and Fisheries. Continued training is provided by Department of Rural Development and Land Reform through Extension Support Program. Lastly, the department, together with DAF, will ensure availability of technical support to the program through support. I must say that a month ago, I was in China in a place called, is it Enjing or Dinjing? I met 3 students who are there. 2 of them are from Limpopo. They are doing advanced master's degree in aquaculture because aquaculture is a new phenomenon in the history of agriculture. And fish is too sensitive. The way you feed, already you have developed the feeding programs. So it should not be seen as a defunct or a dead project, but is going through phases. And we are sure that neighboring farmers will receive fingerlings so that we can extend. And Limpopo, as a province, is one of those instances where a different species, especially very lucrative ones, can be developed.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Mokwele.
Thank you very much, Chairperson, and thank you, Honorable Minister. I saw you thought that I will take you now. You were like, oh, Honorable Mokwele. Chair, you are scared of yourselves, not me.
Honorable
You are
Mokwele,
just scared of
ask
yourself
the
that you are
question.
going to be removed soon. According to the investigations, Minister, that we have done as an organization, that's why we asked you this question, is that the slow pace in which the department and the project itself it's functioning. And in your response, we have highlighted that you are still going to support the project with management and with other skills development. Now, according to our investigation, don't you think, Minister, that corruption and fraud and mismanagement of the project leads to the slow and at the end non-functional of that project, because it is characterized with so many challenges? If I can tell you now, we will go out here very late. So don't you think those are also encompasses, and how are you going to make sure as a minister that you manage, or you make sure that the money that is used, the public money that is used for that project, is properly managed, and those that are found to be guilty are facing the justice? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Minister.
Thanks, House Chair. We have got employees in the department. None of them bears the name of so-and-so fraud or whatever in their surnames. Therefore, fraud does not exist until it is proven to exist. I'm not saying I rule out that it is possible. But I can assure you, Ms. Mokwele, Honorable Mokwele, that no. I can assure you, I must respect you, that as a department we are committed. I said this program is new. For instance, 2 months ago, we're opening the hatchery in Free State, which was done with the conjunction of the Chinese government. It is a new feature. Remember, only 2 years back we launched the oceans economy, which has been the flagship. And if you can check records, our department is leading in the number of viable programs. Maybe your TV was not functioning on the day the president was in KZN to showcase the work we have done. I said maybe, I didn't say so.
order, Chair.
Okay, let me deal with
On
the
a,
point
on a
of
point
order.
of order, I'm not a TV person, I go to the ground. If you don't know, I don't rely on
Honorable
TV, I
Mokoena.
rely on facts on the
Honorable
ground,
Mokoena.
not TV.
Honorable
Thank you.
Mokoena, allow the minister to continue. Honorable Minister, deal with the House, not with Honorable Mokoena direct.
Thanks, House Chair. I want to say to Honorable Mkwel, I would be happy if when you do your research, I'm not trying to a minute to say whether your research tools were proper. And I repeat to say that aquaculture is so very funny. When fingerlings are very small, you may not see that they do exist unless you use the relevant tools. I'm not judging to say the tools you used that day were wrong, but I would be happy if the member in question would be able to invite our expertise to assist on the project. When I referred for funding, I said further funding because that program has different phases as we develop. Because remember, fish is not like cattle. They don't interact physically. They must spawn because they're in one place. And you need a particular quality of water and feed. And I'm saying there's no way the state can spend money in an area they know they are not going to fulfill. Tilapia, by the way, is one of the sought-after fish species that is being sought after in the Middle East. And I repeat to say the climatic conditions of Limpopo sit very well. We're working with the University of Venda. As I repeat to say that fisheries is a very unique area. It's not like fishing where you can stand onto the mountain and say, I see my cattle. You cannot see fish in the ocean or in a dam. So I was saying therefore that I would be happy if you can invite me the next time you want to visit a fish farm, and I'll bring my best expertise in the department so that together with you, we can learn something or two.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Prince.
Honorable Minister, what other programs are you having in your department in all other provinces to assist the fishing community? Thank you.
Honorable Minister.
Thanks. We have just launched the small-scale fisheries policy. 2 weeks ago, I was in the KZN in an area of Richards Bay.
Sorry, Honorable Minister, let me take the point of order. Honorable Julius.
Thank you, Chairperson. The follow-up question is not related. This is about dysfunctional fisheries. It's not at all related to the follow-up question, unless it is posed as a sweetheart question, but it's not related to the original
point
question.
of order is sustained. If you ask a question, it must be linked to original question, but you leave that to the minister. If the minister will want to comment, then there's nothing wrong with the minister commenting. Continue, Honorable Minister.
And small-scale fisheries is one of those. The issue of fish farming is one of the things we value very much. By the way, as a country, we hosted the Global Aquaculture Association Conference here in Cape Town. We believe that through this process, we can be able to augment the depleted protein-rich national resources as we are faced with all forms of people who are fishing illegally. And I can assure you that in the process that has been followed to evaluate whether we have succeeded with the issue of the ocean's economy, the department was leading in terms of small-scale fisheries, in terms of laying out new programs. But because aquaculture is very expensive, especially in lucrative, very important fish species like abalone, we are looking for partnership with foreign funders because you cannot fish abalone in fresh water like in dams. You need to use the seawater and especially fisheries. We will be going to Port Noloth to revive the fishing in those communities. We have got a program that is clear. And we are saying that in our program, we will not only look at areas that are along the coastal areas, but want to say that fisheries is not about the commercial benefit. It is also to make our people to understand that fish is food, and through that we can alleviate poverty and create jobs. We're looking for women and the youth in the area of Richards Bay. I was proud to see a number of female fishermen, of female fishers, who have been given a quota of 20 tons a month to harvest mussels. And those mussels, I think, were intending to expand. I was about 2 weeks ago in Spain. We are looking for partnership, we can enhance that. Because it is through those kind of jobs we can be able to make sure that our people don't depend only on state grants, but they can find a living of their own. Fish is good, and fish is healthy, and fish can be everywhere. For fish farming is the future. Let's all be involved in it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Honorable Julius.
Thank you, Chairperson. Honorable Minister, you know, no one has the name of fraud, but they are there and you know it. Just switch on your TV, you'll see them. Honorable Minister, I don't agree with you in any way. I think your department has a record of failing dismally when it comes to sustaining agricultural products. And I think you acknowledged it already in one of the committee meetings. But let's be more specific, aquaculture projects where we have failed, where millions of rand were spent. Now, let me make an example, and I don't know whether it's the same project because we didn't get the chance to see it, but the Petwana agricultural farm, they were supposed to be farming with tilapia, and very lucrative. In 2015 already, the project was found not to be fully functional, although millions of rand were spent there. There were squabbles with the farmers in between the beneficiaries. Some of them sold the equipment, others sold the fish on this farm. I want to know, has anyone been held accountable to date? If so, what are the details of this? And if not, why were they not held accountable to date? Thank you.
Honorable Julius, I thought you were going to lead by example. As you dealt with the issue of Honorable Prince, even now I leave it to the Honorable Minister to comment. Because we are introducing a totally new question. But I'll leave it to the Minister. No. Honorable Minister, let's leave it to the Honorable Minister. Honorable Julius,
This is aquaculture projects.
But to introduce a name of a project, it's a totally different to the one that was asked by Honorable Mokwele.
It's the same in the province. Same province.
Let's allow the minister to deal with it.
But Chairperson, can I beg your indulgence on this, please?
Yes.
You heard the question from Honorable Prince and you did not react.
I sustain your point of order.
Yes, I had to say it.
Yes.
You heard it, but you didn't do anything about it. Now you see the unfairness in the whole thing.
No.
You even hear carefully, but you didn't hear an obvious one. You had to wait for me.
Honorable
to
Julius,
raise
let's
a point
allow
of
the
order.
Honorable Minister.
But let's give it to the Minister.
Yes, let's leave it to the Honorable Minister. Honorable Minister.
Thanks, House Chair. I would appreciate if the honorable member would make sure that question reaches my office, because I received the question from the Nzonga Fisheries project in Limpopo, and we'll follow up. I can assure you we don't subscribe to any form of stealing from the coffers of the state, and we can demonstrate how we're dealing with that. But because of the legal constraints, we may not be at liberty to show how we're dealing with such tendencies. But I can assure you, if you give us the name of the project and where it is, we can follow up and give you an answer to it. But I want to say that in closing, when the president was doing on this question, the visit in KZN to check the viable products, we were able to show that whenever state funding has been spent, people who are in those areas have benefited.
Thank you. Honorable Smith.
Thank you very much, House Chair. Honorable Minister, with relation to the dysfunctional fishing projects of which we now heard it's not the only one, obviously. There is an aqua bill being processed in your department. In the background of the bill, you want to regulate the industry through legislation. What steps have you been taken to ensure greater access to markets encouraged in this bill?
Honorable Minister.
Honorable House Chair, as a department, we have deployed attachers to different countries. And those attachers have a role to navigate the marketability of our products. And such people give us feedback. We do make sure that when we visit countries, we'll also be able to market our fish species. But the elephant in the room is the fact that we have not changed the act that governs fisheries in this country. As we speak today, our African people, when they get fish allocations, they rely at the mercy of big companies. If we were busy trying to amend the 1998 amendment to the Marine Act that governs fisheries in this country, so that when you get an allocation, you can decide with whom you want to market with. And I can assure you, all our fish species are marketable. What has been lacking is the fact that our people, even if they get access to a vessel, they're not allowed to go and fish, nor can they be able to market their own fish. So they wait only for those who are having such expertise to do that. It's an area I think me and you should work around to make our fisheries our fisheries industry. But our challenge is not that. Our challenge is illegal fishing, which as a government, I'm sure we've demonstrated, where we've been able to follow up on illegal vessels, and we've apprehended them. But the rest then is with the law, because we cannot decide what punishment is given to an illegal vessel. But I want to make sure that within this month we'll be attending the Benguela Current Commission at Windhoek. It is in those commissions in which you sit to understand what reef do our fish breeds on, and what challenges are they faced with. It's not only the issue of illegal fishing. They are faced with the impact of climate change. When you hear of harmful blooms, you hear of the depletion of oxygen within the ocean that forces fish to come out of the ocean. Those are issues we need to deal with. And I'm sure that any idea that comes forward to assist us in those will be very much acceptable in the department.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. We now come to question 190 asked by Honorable Mlambo. Honorable Minister.
Thanks, Honorable House Chair. The H6N2 higher pathogenic avian influenza originates in China and has been spread mainly by wild birds. And when we became aware of this outbreak in one of our neighboring countries, before we could even, because it's the first time we have had such an outbreak, and we have been going out to warn farmers that don't leave food, that is, don't feed your chickens more food because it attracts wild birds. Make sure that where there are water sources, ensure that there's no way that birds will mingle with your chicks. But this unfortunately has been attacking our mostly commercial farmers, both laying hens and broilers. And we have had meetings together with our stakeholders in looking at different avenues we can be able to assist each other. But unfortunately, the spread has been ongoing. A number of suggestions have been made, like coming up with protocols that should be taken to make sure that we're able to eradicate the disease, and also to look at the issue of compensation. And we have come up with the formula how people should apply to the department. Further than that, one of the companies, I won't mention the name, said that they want to engage into what is called the vaccination for the HPA1, so that they can be able to create the ability of chicks to live with the virus. But we are worried because our markets may not be keen to buy from us, because that is a new phenomenon. But we've not said out of hand we cannot do that. We have left that to those who are trained, like our veterinarians, who are doing with it. The other one has been the appeal that we allow the industry to import fertilized eggs from countries that don't have the virus, so that we can be able to keep our industry going. Currently, we're busy making sure, therefore, that everything we can do as a department to mitigate the shortage of, and also the ease of importing the fertile eggs is done. We believe that we feel for the industry, we feel for employees. We know that this spread of the disease, if not cut off this influenza, may even culminate in the fact that we have got, we don't have enough chicken, and the prices may plummet. And yesterday I was engaging the EU Commissioner in looking at ways we can find assistance from countries that have been advanced in dealing with the disease. So everything is being done by the department to ensure that our poultry sector remains a viable sector, as it employs many people and an area that most of our women can participate in. And therefore, I would like to say that as a department, we are concerned. But consistently, we do meet with our stakeholders. We do engage them. We do listen to suggestions that come up in a way that we can be able to prevent this. But I can assure you, when we apply our rules, in South Africa, I think that we need to look at the way we conduct ourselves. We go to farms without checking whether those farms have got diseases. And we go to other farms. And most of the diseases like this get carried by such ways. I think South Africa has to learn a hard way into how we can prevent the spread of these diseases in the country. We are concerned about the sector, and we'll do everything to make sure that it remains a viable sector of our country. But key to all that is to transform it. There are still a very few number of those that should be participating in it. The demographics don't reflect the participation of our people. It's still a really white-dominated industry. We want to change that. I'm not saying let's use the virus as a reason to do that, but I'm saying that if we change that, we need to make sure that we can do that.
Thank you, Honourable Minister. Honourable Mlambo.
Thank you very much, House Chair. Thank you, Minister. Can the Minister tell the House if he has figures, if during this outbreak or scourge of this influenza, has the sector, in terms of jobs, are there any job losses that has affected our people since the scourge of this disease? Thank you very much.
Honourable Minister.
Thanks, House Chair. Thanks, Honourable Member. Unfortunately, I didn't prepare those statistics to come up and say how many workers. But it's given because the only way you can deal with this disease is to cull the chicks. Obviously, if the chicks are culled, before the farmer maybe get a compensation, in some instances, the workers may be the victim. If it is an egg production facility, you have to destroy the eggs. Obviously, there will be no income by the time that process is happening. But we will make sure that we gather the information as to what extent has this process affected employability of people. Hence, we are doing everything to make sure that if it needs, we have to allow the industry to import fertile eggs from any other country so that we can augment our stocks. We will do so.
Thank you. Honourable Makwebo.
Nkosi Sihlalo, ndiyabulela. Mphathiswa ngicela ukubuza. Nanku umbuzo. Please tell us, how has the department been supporting and funding the research into avian flu, especially at the on-the-sport Veterinary Institute?
Honourable Minister.
Ndiyabulela Sihlalo. Mandibonge ngitsho ngithi ngelishwa kuba i-avian influenza apho ufika namhlanje ayikabi nalo ichiza nditsho kumazwe aphezulu. Kudala iwaqoba ngaphandle nje uqinisekisa into yobana azidibani intaka ezibhabha phaa esibhakabhakeni nentaka ezifuyiweyo. Yiyona ndlela kuphela onokwazi ukuyiqoba kuba ihamba nentaka ezisuka kumazwe angaphandle ufika kumazwe wethu. So kufuneka siqinisekise into yobana indlela into kuthiwa yi-biosecurity measures ukuthi sicontrol ukuthi ngubani ongena efama xa seyiqhumile efameni yakho awuzithengisi iinkukhu zawo komnye umntu kuba yenye yendlela endicinga uba bekhaya funeka siyilungise. Xa zigula zisifa akufuneki uqala uthi no zine-avian influenza, funeka uvume uba siye sicubungule sithathe izicwebu siyozithesta kwii-laboratories sitsho sithi kuwe hayi nyhani ikhona kule ndawo, sawugqiba sivale. Uba ngosiyazithengisa siyayispreda ihambe iye kwezinye ndawo. Ngokwazi kwam yiyo le nto ndithi apha endlini ithe nanxa kuthiwa makuqalwe le nto kuthiwa kutofwa kwenkukhu kukhuselwe esi sifo, sathi thina masinikwe imininingwane okanye inkcukacha ebonisayo ukuthi apho yayisetyenziswe khona ikwazile usiqoba esi sifo. Isingathi zii-seasons ezithi zawutshintsha kuba iintaka zilandela imeko yendalo. Kwawuba shushu kwindawo ethile zibaleke ziye apho. Endithemba into yobana kwi-SADC region sivene into yobana masisebenzisane xa sivela isifo kwelinye ilizwe elimelene nalo singalindi side sifike kuthi ukuze abesayensi bakwazi usebenza. Kwinyani kona uphando funeka lenziwe kuba sinawuthi esi sifo sasenjalo. Into emnandi yiyo ukuba awukabikho mntu ugulayo okanye obhubhileyo ngokutya inyama yenkukhu egula sesi sifo. Le into ingangumhlola kanongqawuse ayikabikho kweli lizwe.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Dikhale.
Thank you very much, Honorable House Chairperson. Honorable Minister, I want to take you to our villages in the rural areas. What is the Minister doing in order to assist emerging poultry farms in the villages, especially in the rural areas?
Minister.
Thanks, House Chair. Working with the department, with the provincial departments, we're in a program to assist small-scale farmers with the infrastructure. There is a training program that is ongoing currently because we believe that when we train our farmers so that they are able to understand what challenges they are faced with, especially around the control of feed. As I said, that if you feed your chickens and they don't finish the feed, it invites wild birds to come on your area. Once they mingle with your domesticated birds, be it ducks or chicks, you may have this disease. But more than that, we need to create markets so that when you create these small-scale poultry farmers, they had access to a market. We're busy doing that to ensure that these people, when they found a market, they're able to do that. I was told that recently my team went to visited a place in Northwest, and they were happy to come back to say they saw a lady who is really flourishing into farming, taking the space that is left by this incident. I agree with you. Without training, we can't succeed. The way you feed your chicks, the feed you give to them, and how they are housed is very important. But we need also to look beyond that. Pemakaya sifuye inkukhu zesintu esithi indigenous chicks kuthiwa ngumleqwa ngenye ilwimi. Eza nkukhu zibalulekile ukuzifuya kuba zityiwa ngamangolwane xa zifukama, amaqanda atyiwa ngogwangwa, namaphimpi ayawazingela. Masakhe indawo, eza nkukhu zibalulekile kuba inyama yazo imnandi xa uthe wayifumana, ayifani nezinye inkukhu. Xa sinoyikhuthaza ke sibe nemitshini yoqandusela, inkukhu ingahlale iqandusela amantshontsho ukuphela i-30 days, ibe ontanga bawo phandle abazinkunzi beyilindile. Ngaloo ndlela leyo namhlanje singawukhulisa sofumane le market ukuze oomama basemakhaya bakwazi uphila.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. We now come to question 223 asked by Honorable Kaula. Honorable Minister.
Manbonge sihlalo wendlu, bonge Honorable Kaula ngombuzo wakhe. Climate change is really a challenge. I think as a country we need to relook our disaster management strategy and act, such that we don't wait until we are struck by a disaster. Our scientific advancement through the Department of DIA were able to detect when we are going to be faced with a disaster, like the foreseen one, le yalembalela. Abafundi iBhayibhile bathi ukumkani waphupha ebusuku. wabona inkomo ezisixhenxe zisitya phezu komlambo zityebile. Wathi esalele wabona ezinye izixhenxe zisitya ezi zisixhenxe. Watsho wayazi uba iyeza indlala. Nathi masisebenzise ubuchule besayensi. Xa kuthiwa izaba khona imbalela, singalindi ide ifike isibethe. Siyi-department ithe yawufika le mbalela, sakwazi unceda abantu bendawo zethu. Ngoba nika ifeed, ndizawunika nje amanani akhutshwe yi-department. Umzekelo, Eastern Cape sabanika i-29 million rands uthenga ifeed. Free State i-31 million. KZN i-23. Ungandibuzi uba kutheni le mali zingalingani. Zenziwa ngochwepheshe bapha ku-department. Xa ngabe ungam ngezilingana zonke indawo, ngakumbi indawo ezinezilwanyana. eLimpopo 29 million. eMpumalanga 26. eNorthern Cape 25. eNorthwest 39. eWestern Cape 12 million. Ndiyayazi uba kweendawo ndizikhombayo zikhona imbombo nengqumbo. Into ebalulekileyo yoba masifunde sikhuthaza abalimi bethu to produce a feed in the area they stay in, so that when there is a disaster, we don't have to pay heavily for e-transportation. That costs us more than the delivered, than the bag of a feed. We need to train our farmers to cull their animals, so that, and we've already built a rural auction halls. There's one in Kantla. And I remember one old man, Ulang, was able to cash 200,000 rands for selling 15 of his oxen, because he does not have to negotiate with his uncle as to how much his oxen should be sold for. It is what I think we need to go to, because unfortunately in our country, especially in rural areas, we've got less grazing areas. And when there is a challenge, yet devastation, yet drought, habitat dries up. Even if rains come, it takes time for grass to grow. And so the broader picture is that we cannot only limit our approach to how much we pay for feed. We need to expand education so that our farmers understand what it needs to be done, such that we're able to produce our own feed. 3 months in a year kills so huge a number of cattle. And I think if we can invest more in building feedlots in our districts, so that animals don't have to look for grazing for the whole day when none exist.
Thank you, Honorable Kaula.
Thanks, Honorable Chairperson. Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Honorable Minister, it is estimated that between 200 and 200 million of the drought relief funds in KZN as we speak cannot be accounted for. I don't know if that includes the 23 million that you gave to them as the National Department for Cattle Feed, and I don't know how much of the other funds from other departments will be inclusive of this fund. So what I would like to know from the Honorable Minister is, can we be sure that the money that you gave to KZN was used for the cattle feed that you gave them for? Because right now as we speak, the department cannot tell you what happened to the 200 to 220 million of the drought relief funds that was allocated in total. Thank you, Chair.
Honorable Minister.
For one, I mentioned the fact that there is a process in the department to look in the matter like this. It is not therefore, I'm not at liberty to expand to what we are doing as a department, but we are concerned in the way these funds get dispensed. I may not be at liberty to comment on KZN, but at national level, we are doing an investigation to check each and every cent that was allocated to provinces as articulated got used for that. I'm not, I repeat, at liberty to expand, because once I do that, I will be infringing on the rule of the law.
Thank you. Honorable Julius.
Honorable Minister, you earlier indicated that you don't know about the Petwana agricultural farm. Last time you also said to me you don't know about the agricultural school on the West End where millions are lost. I'm just baffled. that millions are lost and you say to me, just ask a question, I'll give you information. It says a lot about your knowledge about the department. But can you confirm the claim by Agri SA that of the 212 million allocated for drought relief last year, only 146 million was actually spent, despite the country experiencing the worst drought in decades in our country?
Honorable Minister.
Maybe I replied by in Xhosa, and unfortunately the Honorable Julius het nie gehoor. Ek het gesê, meneers, miskien die mense wat talk sometimes don't give the exact because I may be using a lighter Xhosa or a tougher one. I try to say that this matter in question is under investigation. There is a process that is taking place as a result of the charge laid by Agri SA, and also the letter from the public protector to investigate. And I said I'm not at liberty to expand, either confirm or not say that, because the process is still ongoing to verify as to if money was misused, and if yes, how much. That will detect what action is taken. Those are processes that are beyond my control. I may not stand here and say, whoever is found guilty will be done this. I'm not at liberty controlled by the acts of this country, the Labor Relations Act in particular.
Honorable members, allow me to go to question 209, asked by Honorable Engelbrecht. Honorable Minister, 209. Yes, the minister has dealt with this question, that there's a process that is dealing with this issue. Both of them, they're asking same question. No, this question of financial assistance, the minister explained it, and Honorable Julius emphasized the very same question. So now we're dealing with question 209 asked by Honorable Engelbrecht. Honorable Minister. Honorable Dihale.
Honorable House Chair, with all the humility, I wanted to take the minister to our rural areas where the traditional leaders are staying with these poor farmers. I do not want to talk about or raise a question that is related to what the Honorable Julius raised.
But it's a new question, it's not linked to this question.
But then it is.
Let me leave it to the minister to comment. Honorable Minister.
Can I?
No, I'm leaving it to the minister.
You
want to take the minister to the rural area?
Yes, in Limpopo.
What is your question?
Limpopo is also a drought stricken area.
Oh, you want to take the minister?
Yes,
Honorable Minister, you want to take you to Limpopo to see the drought? Honorable Minister.
House Chair.
Now, I can say, I don't know how to say this in the language of the people I visited 2 weeks ago. It was the Mohoba royal family. I had a meeting for the whole day. We have played one with the youth of Mohoba to look at Mohoba, yes. Yes, it was held at the council house, not in Mohoba's Kloof. And I can assure you we are committed, because we're working with these 3 spheres of government, as well, and particularly importantly, is to work with our traditional leaders. Because the 15%, the 13% of land we found belonging to blacks was the land that they defended sometimes with their lives. I was very happy to learn that King Mahoba was not only murdered, but he was beheaded. He was buried without a head. That is the price this country must pay. To people like King Yinza and many others, I understand sometimes when you find that the issue of land is also emotional, and we need to deal with it thoroughly. And I'm really concerned on the plight of those people, because there's not enough grazing. And whenever there's drought, the legal habitat that is in that area gets depleted. As the Honorable at the back asked the same question, what do we do with traditional leaders? Isilo samabandla ngikhulumile naso. Ibile siyangifuna ukuthi ngiye, but ngiyasaba kuba ninaphokoto. Awukwazi ukuya komkhulu ngenamali. Kodwa ke ngivile eMpompo ngizawuya. Once I am made, I've just spoken to Chief Chibasa from Vuani. My team has been there because we want to expand as much as possible. And I think through the chiefs, we can make sure that the land that lays unused can be brought back into use. So I take this as an invitation. And I'm sure Honorable Mkweli will also extend the same invitation to me so that I can accompany them, either to go to fish farms or to visit those areas. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Zwane.
Thank you, House Chair. Honorable Minister, we do appreciate the kind of assistance that you give to provinces in cases of drought and maybe natural disasters that would actually kill fauna and flora. However, I just wanted to raise an issue regarding the duration of time it takes for national government to assist the provinces, because as we're conducting the provincial week, there are concerns where the provinces are saying, particularly KZN, it takes too long a time for the assistance to reach the province and they are able to correct the situation. Are there plans to improve on that? Thank you.
Honorable Minister.
Thanks, Hlalo Wendlu. The problem lies with the Act, because the Act expects municipalities to declare areas as disaster areas. It takes time. As I was saying earlier, that I think the country has to relook the issue of disasters. There are disasters that can be projected on time, that we know that in 2 years to come, the El Nino will be in our area, which will mean drought and scarcity of rain. Then if that is done on time, we can be able to advise farmers not to plant certain crops. We can advise farmers to cull the numbers of their cattle so that they are able to keep money in the bank and buy other cattle when the rain comes. Those are issues we need to look at. If you look at the US, because they know that regularly they do have hurricanes, it is the presidential decree that decides that state resources will be channeled in that area. That is the way I think we need to look at it in the long run. That when we know that there's a disaster to happen, we don't wait for a municipality to declare itself as a disaster area. Then the ministries must meet together. Then COGTA must lead. And that time, people are suffering. I think we need to rethink the way we are dealing with disaster management in the country. But we are concerned, I agree with you. I know very well in the recent floods, in KZN, parts of the Eastern Cape and other areas, people really suffered.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Minister, we now come to question 209, asked by Honorable Engelbrecht. Honorable Minister.
Thanks, House Chair. Up to now, we have recorded the following cases. This question was asked earlier, and I apologized. I now have the figures. In Limpopo, there have been 4 backyards where this avian flu has been spotted. 5 commercial farms. Remember, Limpopo was the first province to be hit, as it is close to the province or to the neighboring country I referred to without naming, is where this was discovered. And the 2 white beds were found to have died, and the total is 11. In Gauteng, there have been no backyard area that this influenza has been detected, but 3 commercial farms, and 4 hobbies and the zoo. And the total is 6 wild birds. Limpopo, it was, Mpumalanga initially, I mentioned it was 11. Limpopo has no detection has been found, so Limpopo has been still safe from this influenza. Northwest, there's 1 commercial farm, 1 hobbies and zoo, and the number is 2 total. In Northwest, in Free State, there have been 1 commercial farm, and it remains 1. In KwaZulu-Natal, there's 1 commercial farm, it remains 1. In Eastern Cape, there's one commercial farm. In Western Cape is the hardest hit province. There are 4 backyards areas where this disease, this avian influenza has been discovered. 13 confirmed commercial farms, and 8 hobbies or zoo. And ostrich farms have been 14, and wild birds have been 11. The total is 50, so the Western Cape is the hardest hit province. The total, therefore, is 79, comprising of 8 backyards, 25 commercial, 13 hobbies and zoo, ostriches 14, wild birds 19. That gives us 79. That's the number of what has happened. What it does not give us, therefore, is the number of jobs that may have been lost due to this. It is something I think we still have to verify.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Engelbrecht.
Mr. Chair, thank you, and Minister, thank you for that data. According to animal welfare, government must kill infected birds, and then it's government's responsibility to reimburse the farmers for their financial loss. So my question to you, Minister, is how many farmers have you reimbursed, and at what cost, and how many farmers still need to be reimbursed for this huge loss in their production and loss in economic development in this country? Thank you.
Honorable Minister.
At the outbreak of this influenza, we didn't have a policy on compensation, but farmers raised that, and we approached Treasury, and some funding was made available. And what happens when we discover that this disease may be possible on your farm? You inform us, we send our veterinarians, they will take specimens, they will take that to a laboratory. If it is proven that really your farm has this influenza, all those birds' carcasses will be culled. If it is eggs, they will be destroyed in a way that is not to cause contamination. We're still dealing with the figures because we only approved that policy recently. But I can assure you the amount of money that the country may need is too huge. Therefore, we need to find ways of dealing with this influenza, even going beyond the state having to pay, but looking at influencing a factor that farmers to be engaged into taking up some insurance when they deal with this. But remember, this was the first time this influenza broke out in our country. We feel for those farmers whose farms have been devastated. We are working with them to resuscitate their farms, to continue with the chicken industry going forward. But I cannot give you the figures because I'm saying that we only recently approved the protocols and policies in dealing as to how people must apply for compensation. But when you look at the figures, it's going to be too huge. But it's something I think as a department, together with Treasury, will be engaged on. I agree with you that farmers who have lost has to get some compensation. As to what level that must be, I'm sure is something that we need to engage in.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable members, allow me to take this opportunity to thank Minister Zokwane for availing himself to deal with the question. Thank you, Honorable Zokwane. Let me take this opportunity to invite Honorable Zwane as we come to Minister of Mineral Resources. We are going to start, now you can come to the fore, Honorable Minister. We are going to start with question 206 that is being asked by Honorable Gaila. 206. Honorable Minister.
No, thanks, Chair. Section 100, subsection 2A of the MPRDA provides for the development of the mining charter as an instrument to effect transformation with specific targets. Each mining right that is issued should therefore indicate the percentage owned by historically disadvantaged, with full shareholders' rights and economic benefit. The 2015 assessment revealed that whilst a significant number of right holders, irrespective of size by employment, have reported to have met or exceeded the 26% of the historically disadvantaged ownership threshold, the meaningfulness of economic participation remained largely elusive. In the 2014-2019 strategic framework, we have committed to measure the number of permits and rights we issue to historically disadvantaged individuals. 161 rights or permits were issued to previously disadvantaged individuals. The shareholding ranges from 26% to 100%.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Keila.
You are not helping me, Minister, in your answer.
Honorable Keila, can we have the mic closer to you?
You're not helping me or the House. The question is very clear. It says how many previously disadvantaged individuals are owning mines and what percentage shares. Not from 26% to 100%. That is not a good answer. However, with regard to the past mining charter and its objectives, how many black people were assisted to own mines? How many were given licenses? What is the productivity of those people and their mines? And how many have sold their mines or their shares? Can you answer me on that one? Thank you.
Honorable Minister.
Well, let me hasten to say what we have discovered as we go through this process is that a number of mines that are owned by previously disadvantaged individuals are very few, due to the fact that we know in South Africa, whether you are historically disadvantaged, you still have to have money to proceed with the transactions. We do, however, have some few individuals that have made it, like you know, the Patrice Mtsipes, the Nkosis, that have made it to ensure that this process goes forward. But what is frustrating us as a department is that due to financial constraints, the individuals that are given licenses tend to sell back because of the money constraints.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable members, no. Honorable members, let us be orderly. If we're asking questions, let us be listening to the responses so that we can be able to make proper follow-up. Honorable Mokwele, you are the next.
Thank you, Chair. You know, when the answer is not convincing, you will forever do what we are doing, because the answers are not convincing at all. Honorable Minister, thank you very much for your unconvincing response to your questions. But I would like to ask you, maybe you will answer me. You know, you can't even tell how many black communities are owning mines. You just mentioned one family that is owning 0.1% of the shares in the mines, of which it doesn't assist us as black people. But anyway, it's fine. That's how you want our country and ourselves as black to be portrayed as poor in our own country and our own resources. Do you think that, Honorable Minister, that the mining charter that you are forever promoting will at the end make sure that us as black people, we own the mines and we own the means of production? Because it is clear that yourself and your party and your ruling party per se, you are not pushing for nationalization of these mines. For as long as you are still in government, do you see this thing that is called mining charter going to address this matter that we as black people are not owning the mines and the means of production? Thank you.
Honorable Minister.
Well, the mining charter as it is, the 2017 mining charter, seeks to give permission and opportunity to black people, first of all, to gain experience in the mining sector, because we are saying 30% must go to blacks, 8% of that to communities, 8% to workers, and 14% to entrepreneurs. We have been made aware that the current situation is that the entrepreneurs will take their shares and go away and enjoy money. The mining charter says they should be involved in the 30% they own on day-to-day basis so that they gain experience and ultimately be able to take over. The mining charter continues to say 1% of the total annual turnover must be given to the BEE, that is the 30%, to ensure liquidity, as I've raised it, so that as transactions take place, they also can play a meaningful role when it comes to those transactions. The current situation is that whether you have a right as a black person, you will have to go out and look for a partner that will partner with you because you don't have money. The charter gives an opportunity for these entrepreneurs, workers, and communities to stand on their own and be liquid and be able to participate meaningfully in the sector.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Labuskaghni.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. You referred in your question, in your answer to 161 permits or rights, and we all know that at the moment the people who've got the rights or they get the permits and the rights is not always necessarily the same person. So that in itself is a problem. And then you also referred back to what the new mining charter stipulates that the 30% black, 8% to the black employees share ownership plans, 8% to the communities through community trusts, which also has a problem, and then 14% to BEE entrepreneurs, as you said. But we all also know, and we asked this continuously in the committee and said that the previous BEE deals have tended to favor ANC political elites at the expense of broad-based reforms. And broad-based reforms is to the employee, shareholder, the person working in the mine. Those that you refer to, Honourable Minister, with due respect, that don't have the money. Which would ensure that employees and community have tended to favor ANC political elites and the expense to the broad-based. What I would like to know is why do you place so much emphasis on enriching the elite BEE entrepreneurs when workers and communities should be the focus of share ownership schemes?
Honorable
Honorable
Minister.
Chair, can I just ask you to ask the Honorable Stock to ask a question if he wants to ask a question and stop harassing us?
Well, let me thank the opportunity, Honorable Member. Let me make it clear that the department has not been responsible to identify the BEE in Charter 1 and Charter 2. The beneficiaries that are black, you see in the industry, and you think they are ANC cronies, are actually identified by the same mining houses, not the minister, not the department. What we have gone on to say in the Mining Charter 3 is to say, as you identify these beneficiaries, we want to have new entrants. We want to know the criteria you are using in identifying this. If it's only experience, how are you going to give new entrants an opportunity to play part in the mining sector so that you don't see the usual suspects over and over again being BEEs of more than 5 mining houses? And that is what we are committing ourselves to actually live by and ensure that it is realized.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Zwane.
Thank you, Chairperson. Ngisacela ukubuza ngqongqoshe ukuthi ma kuzokhishwa ama-license e-mining, ake ngisayithe i-example sand mining or river sand mining, something like that. Kuyabhekwa yini ubunikazi bendawo before kunikezelwe lowo i-license o applyele ukumayina, kwenzela ukuthi ingathi sikhishiwe i-license yokumayina ebese kuvuka imindeni ethize ithi lo unikezwe i-license yokumayina kule ndawo kanti le ndawo eyakithi noma eyethu, ebese kusuka ke i-conflict. Nenze njani ukubhekela indaba yobunikazi bendawo la kunesimbiwa khona? Thank you.
Honorable Minister.
Mangibonge Mangethe. Ngichaze ukuthi umthetho sisekelo wala eSouth Africa uthi ama minerals wonke akhona eSouth Africa belonga kubantu bonke base South Africa. Kwenzeka ukuthi lanka ama minerals akhona eLimpopo, kodwa ngokuya ngomthetho umuntu osempumalanga nomuntu oseNorthwest unelungelo elifanayo nalo ole eLimpopo. Okuyaye kwenzakale ngichaze futhi ukuthi ama minerals awahlangene nomhlaba. Uma umnikazi womhlaba othize akusho ukuthi ama minerals angaphansi kwalowo mhlaba unelungelo lawo uma ngabe awa applyele. Uma kufika omunye umuntu efika efaka isicelo salama minerals walomhlaba wena okuwo noma umhlaba wakini, simnikeza unelungelo loyo muntu lokuthi akwazi ukusebenzisa lawo ma minerals ngoba umuntu wala ekhaya. Esiyekhuthazele ke ukuthi uma umndeni ubona ukuthi kunama minerals la u-apply, uma ku-applya umndeni or i-community umphakathi kunalento esibiza nge-first preference yokuthi sibheka bona kucala kunalabo abanye aba-applyile ukuthi sibalekele ukulwa kwabantu bebangama minerals.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. We now come to question 217 asked by Honorable Smith. Honorable Minister.
Application for rights and permits are lodged online using the South African Mineral Resource Administration system. The adjudication process then follows, which takes into account Section 48 of the MPRDA and the National Environment Management Protected Areas Act, both of which prohibits the issuing of rights over certain areas. If the area in question is not covered by these provisions, an application or request must be made for the minister to consider the restriction of prohibition to issuing of rights over the relevant land or area as per the provisions of Section 49 of the MPRDA. The department has competent officials to administer such laws. In the last financial year, 124 officials have been trained as environmental mineral resource inspectors to implement national environmental standards.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Smith.
Thank you so much, Honorable House Chair. Honorable Minister, how did it happen that prospecting rights were issued to Volspruit mine, which is to prospect within the 50-year floodline of the Nels Vlei near Mokopane, which is a ecologically very, very sensitive area? I would like to know, how did it happen that they got prospecting rights within the 50-year floodline? In fact, the mine's idea is to even go next to the river system and move the direction of the river so that they can mine there. How did that happen?
Honorable Minister.
Well, we have registered a number of cases where either prospecting rights or mining rights were not supposed to be given. We are giving attention to such weaknesses to be corrected.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Minister, we now come to question 201 asked by Honorable Singh. Honorable Minister.
The department is working together with the other government departments to the problem of illegal mining. The Hawks are responsible for arresting the syndicate's leaders and had a few successful prosecutions. The department's strategy is to rehabilitate derelict and ownerless mines to prevent illegal mining. The department is also implementing a small-scale mining strategy to ensure that all small-scale miners operate within the legislative framework. Licenses are granted where there is resources that can mine economically. There are stakeholder forums in Mpumalanga, Free State, and Northern Cape that are chaired by the department. The department will also continue participating in the National Strategic Coordinating Team, which is chaired by the Directorate of Priority Crimes Investigations, or Hawks.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Singh.
Chair, with the answer.
Thank you. Honorable Mokwele.
Thank you very much, Chair. One sometimes must ask, Hore, why are mostly black people engaged in so-called illegal mining? In your case, Minister, have you ever done a research or a study that
will give you an information or direction as to why mostly you will find black people that are engaging into the so-called illegal mining. If so, what is it that your department is doing to make sure, except for the strategy that you have just mentioned, addressing mostly the social issues that relate to our people being found to do such illegal activity, as you call it? And you said in your response that the Hawks are investigating, and too little of cases that have been concluded. Can you just give us plus minus how many cases who are in an organized crime syndicates? How many people have been arrested for doing such activity? Thank you.
Honorable Minister.
Well, Honorable Member, I may not have the figures of how many people have been arrested, but I may hasten to say the investigations that have been carried shows that the people who are normally arrested, for an example, in the case of illegal chrome mining in Limpopo, actually are not the kingpins. Are our people, as we are saying, who are given money to go and engage themselves into this activity. In that same operation, we were able to uncover and arrest about 3 kingpins and brought them to book. And we were able to arrest 27 trucks and machinery from all over the country. And as we are engaging with the owners of those countries, we then discovered that some of them have just taken contracts to go and load when they were told that the mines are belonging to some people. We continue to engage with these other departments and governments, like in the case of Velcom in Free State, to ensure that as we move, we don't just move with speed, but we target the kingpins and ensure that the operation stops. Our arrest of the 3 kingpins in Limpopo and these trucks have helped us to stop operations there. So we think the operations and the mechanisms put in place are beginning to yield the necessary results.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Labuskaghni.
Thank you. Honorable Minister, you gave feedback on what you're doing now, but the existing legislative framework makes provision that obligate mining companies to comply with certain closure and rehabilitation procedures, and then your department plays a key role in providing oversight in ensuring that mining companies comply with closures and rehabilitation obligations. Now, we have information, and it's there, that says that there are more than 1,000 mines where illegal activities are being dealt with at the moment, and more or less an industry of 30,000 people that's involved in that. The fact that the DMR also has a lack of human resources, how does it impact on the process to curb the phenomenon of illegal mining?
Honorable Minister.
Well, the legislation as it provides for us to play an oversight does not go back far enough to also cover what we call derelict and ownerless mines. where the owners ran away even before we took over and have this legislation. As you correctly put it, it's not even only in those derelict and ownerless mines. Take the case in point in Velcom. You find a situation where these kingpins are beginning to actually compete with the owners, rightful owners of the mines where we have given rights. That is why it is important that together with stakeholders, we see this process not only as a departmental process, because it includes different activities that will not fall even within the department's ambit. But to agree with you, we do have a shortfall in terms of the muscle, as you know, budget constraints, to firmly stand and deal with these challenges. We are doing the best we can within the budget we have to continue fighting illegal mining.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Dikhale.
Thank you very much, Honorable House Chair. Honorable Minister, recently on our provincial visit, we visited areas of Modale next to the Zimbabwe border. And there's a coal mine there which is closed. And the people were complaining that after the closure of that mine, coal mine, now they are experiencing serious challenges. So my question is, do you have an idea as to when that mine can be opened so that those people get help? Thank you very much.
Honorable Minister.
Well, we have a number of mines that are placed under care and maintenance, that others are closing. And if you engage with the people closing the mines, it's either the mine is coming to its logical end, or the company which is there does not see any value in continuing with that mine because of the quality of the resource that is there. In those cases, we wait for the appetite, the investors. If it's the quality, that's where the junior miners get in and take over, because at their level, they do still make profit at that level of the quality. So we are busy assessing appetite in that mine, including other few mines that are placed in care and maintenance.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Now, Honorable Minister, we now come to question 229, asked by Honorable Shabango. It's not in the House, but in terms of the rules, Honorable Mukwele will stand in for Honorable Chabango. Honorable Minister.
I do not have the details of mining companies in question. However, in line with our inspection programs, all the holders of the right that are found to be non-compliant with the social and labor plan programs are issued with the orders, instructions, or notices. In most cases, we see the right holders starting to implement the SLP commitments as they stood the risk of being suspended or right being cancelled. We, however, continue to encourage mining houses to implement the conditions of the right without the government, who work with very limited resources, to do so.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Mokwele.
Thank you very much, Chair. Honorable Minister, it's heartbreaking that you are not even aware that the most biggest mining houses in South Africa are the ones that are not compliant. You go to Amanda Belt. Amanda Belt is in the borders of Northwest and Limpopo. Most of the people that are working at Amanda Belt are originally from Northwest, 80% of them. But if you look into the manner in which the company Amanda Belt is in terms of your corporate and social labor is dealing with it, you'll find that they are not compliant. Now, I'm saying to you, Honorable Minister, that have you ever, despite the fact that you have staff members that goes and write you reports, have you ever visited, especially the biggest mining houses, and do your own oversight as a minister to make sure that they are compliant and the communities that are close and nearer to them are getting services in terms of the corporate and social labor issues? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Minister.
Well, if you look at the 2017 mining charter, it addresses your concerns. It says, one, before the SLP can be approved by the department, that SLP, after consultation with the community, will be published in 2 languages. The first language should be the language of that particular community, and the second might be English. We have taken a decision in that charter that we are aligning the SLPs to ensure that after approval, we are able not only as the department to follow up, and that process will then deal with concerns such as this, because it comes as a result of us noticing that not only what we're talking about is taking place in the industry. Actually, in other areas, you find people pleading for electricity whilst the SLP is building clinic. We are sure that with these initiatives, we will cap that problem. But also to answer you directly in terms of me going out and checking, I have been to a number of areas. I've been to Northwest, where a mall was built together with the royal family, Bakhatla. And I have been to KZN in a mine called Kempsford, where the mine itself is paying 80,000 every month to ensure that the school in that farm remains open. I've engaged with the Department of Education to take that task over, because I want the mine to deal with social labor plans like housing and other matters. So I do visit the mines, engage communities, and just do my oversight in terms of what is happening on the issue of SLPs, not SLPs only, safety of workers and other matters that concerns the department.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable Mpambos Puwana. Sorry, Honorable Mpambos Puwana. Honorable Gayle, why are you standing?
Chairperson, with due respect, is it parliamentary to eat in the house? The honourable member from Northwest is eating in the house. Tripin.
Honorable members, it's raising a point of order about somebody who's doing something that is not parliamentary. So let's refrain to compromise the decorum. You know yourself from Northwest, they are alleging that you are eating in the house. Honorable Mpambos Puwana. I'm not pointing any person.
He pointed to me. Look how far he is. He sees me eating. What am I eating? This man is out of order.
Honorable, I'm making a general comment to all the members that let's refrain from anything that will compromise the decorum of the House. Honorable Mpambos Puwana.
Thank you, Chair. The department is protect me.
You are protected, Honorable Mpambos Puwana.
The department is the entity that allows Honorable Minister, the company, to get away from their responsibilities. And I'm sure you know about this from your own department. As such, the department has a responsibility for the breach of the original agreement. This is an enforcement problem, and the department does not have the necessary personnel to ensure all agreements are adhered to. Yearly audits have revealed that should be ensuring that the things do not fall through the cracks. I want to know from you, Honorable Minister, what mechanisms are in place or will be put in place timeously to ensure that everything is going well, is moving forward, and all these responsibilities are adhered to by the mining industry controlled by the companies.
Honorable Minister.
Our approach is two-pronged. We believe that working together with our stakeholders is key and fundamental. Once there are agreements that needs to be adhered to, we, from time to time, impress upon our stakeholders, in this case, to act professionally. You will recall, Honorable Member, that at some point there was an outcry in the country that we are implementing Section 54s and people are losing their money. We continue to use the limited resources in our power to ensure that all the programs that we have to oversee, we do overseas, and where we need to improve, we train our staff. Like I've indicated that we have just trained 124 new staff to ensure that as we move forward, we close the loopholes.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable Mokwele.
No, I'm worried about the voice of the minister.
No,
it's
Honorable
fading.
Mokwele, can you take your seat?
I'm told he's a leader of a choir. Maybe he sang too much.
Honorable Mokwele, can you take your seat? Honorable Labuskaghni.
Thank you, Chairperson. Honourable Minister, you referred to the new section in the mining charter where the social and labour plans will be communicated and agreed upon by the community and will then be published, and the department will be follow up. And in the previous question, you admitted that there is a lack of personnel in the department, and now you refer to that you've already trained so many people. My question is, what is the department? Does the department ever had a session and a discussion and come up with a clear-cut idea if Section 54 does not work because they close the mines and they lose money and all those things? What other ways are there to ensure that they adhere to the agreements? Because mining companies and communities go into this thing, in this consultation processes. A lot of promise has been made. The mining company appoint people, and there are various groupings within communities. And a lot of expectations has been raised, and then when the companies got their license, they start operating, nobody cares whether that SLP has been enforced or not. And it's very difficult then to go back and say, okay, what will we do now? Because if you close the mine, there is less income and prosperity for not only the mine, but all those people. So what, in real terms, is the solution? To force companies to adhere to SLPs.
Honorable Minister.
Well, Chair, as I've indicated earlier on, that in the 2017 Charter, consultation with communities that will also include the department has been raised as an issue. You'll remember Charter 2 did not have the department participating in consultation. Would only come in at the point where the program has been done in order for us to monitor. Our view is that during the consultation period, that's where you also include local authorities with their IDPs to ensure that it is not only you or us as a department that are responsible for the oversight. The people staying in those areas, the local authorities, are now part of the stakeholders in terms of their interest. If something is not taking place, we'll be able then to get the communication much more faster and be able to act on time. It's not only that, as we align them, we have set ourselves a target in terms of the time frames, and will from time to time monitor and evaluate the progress of our SLPs.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Mohapi.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Minister, I'm glad that you have raised this issue of the consultation and cooperation. Hardly last week during the provincial week in Machaben, Lejwali-Putswa, where there's a mining school in Virginia, we got presentation of which we picked up in the presence of the Lejwali-Putswa district municipality and Machaben local municipality that there's been reluctance from the side of Harmony Mine as and when they developed their social and labor plans to involve the municipality. A confirmation was made in that regard, particularly when we are asking a question around the integrated development plan. It's not only that you go to Mokaka, I think it's one of the call for concern with regard to alignment, as you are correctly saying. My question is, where there's been reluctance to involve the local authorities, in particular municipalities, what is it that you are going to do to enforce compliance in that regard? Thanks.
Honorable Minister.
Well, as you all know that this charter is still a subject of court discussions. Once that process is over, it is going to be a legal document that is binding. The current situation with local authorities is out of goodwill, is not law. So Harmony and any other company can actually say, this function is not concurrent. It's a national function. As you know that mineral resources is not a concurrent function. That is why we have placed it in the charter to ensure that once it is agreed, nobody will do anybody a favor. It is now a matter of our policy and we can follow up if there's anybody who's reluctant to follow.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Minister, we now come to question 213 asked by Honorable Labuskaghne.
There is no person responsible for giving permission to the mining companies to access and utilize their rehabilitation funds as Section 24 of the National Environment Management Act does not provide for such practice.
Honorable Labuskaghne.
Chair, thank you, Honorable Minister. As you said now, no one gives permission or there's no provision made for that. And that was also the answer I got in the previous written question that you said no mines have been granted access to the rehabilitation funds. Minister, in my hand, I have a document signed on the 5th of May 2016 by the then Deputy Director General of Mineral Regulations, granting permission for rehabilitation funds to be transferred to the Gupta-owned Ghetto Exploration and Resources. Are you saying this document is false?
Honorable Minister.
Well,
Order, members. Order, members.
The honorable member will be so kind, Chair, to furnish me with a document. Because if she flashes a document in this honorable house and say this is the document, when I do not have a document, then I will not be able to provide
Honorable members.
correctly a response.
Honorable members, even in terms of the rule, when you are asking a questions and you have some details, you furnish the minister with those details so that he can give an adequate response. But the next person who's on the line in terms of follow-up, it's Honorable Smith, not unless you are rising on something different. I can recognize you if that is a point of order.
Chairperson, yes, on a point of order. I think the honourable member did give the exact.
No, Honorable
stage
Faber.
on what
Honorable
the
Faber,
document
you are
entails.
out of order. The question is very clear. If a minister was finished with the details, it was going to be a different matter. Honorable Smith.
Thank you, Honorable House Chair. Well, I don't know now if the minister is aware or not aware of this, but it seems you're not aware. So this document also states that the copy was forwarded to the minister for his information. It seems that the corruption is so embedded in your department that anyone can draw up an illegal document to give permission to mines to withdraw millions of rands from a rehabilitation fund. Do you undertake to investigate this matter and to assist in this regard? That document will be tabled in this House.
Honorable Minister.
Well, Chair, thank you. I'm sure members are aware that my department has just received a clean audit. You do not receive a clean audit if your ducks are not all in a row. When it comes to this, document, we commit ourselves as a department to stand here next year with a clean audit. We will deal with any issue that stands in our way to achieve that. We'll go back and look into this issue, and if members have time, we'll come and report here.
Honorable Mokwele.
You always authorize things and after you don't know. You even went out of the cabinet resolution yourself, saying something that was never discussed in a cabinet meeting. So why should we trust you in whatever that you are saying? But anyway.
Sorry, let me take the point of order. Honorable Motara.
Chair, is it in order to directly address the minister and accuse him in the house as if it is a It's not true. It's true.
It's not
It's
in.
true.
It's not in order. Honorable Mokwele, you ask the minister through myself as somebody who's presiding today.
But you have given me a chance to speak.
Yeah, no, I'm
and
dealing
I
with-
have time. I have 2 minutes for my question.
We're stopping it if we're dealing with a point of order.
But Chair,
No, can you keep quiet and allow me to address the point of order? Honorable Mokwele, I'm sustaining the point of order. I'm saying you are allowed to ask a question, a follow-up question, but you can do that through me, not direct to the minister. And your question, supplementary question, must be linked to the original question. Honorable Mokwele, we are protected. Can you continue?
what I'm saying is very much linked to the original question. And I think, Chair, in responding to your ruling of the point of order, I have allocated time permitted by the rules of this House to make a statement and ask a question. So it is within my right what I'm doing. And I've never, ever answered the minister or directly speak to the minister without recognizing
We are
you.
left with 50 seconds.
No, I'm responding. I said I'm responding to your judgment. My question comes now, Chair. Minister,
Honorable Mokwele, can you take your seat? Let me take the point of order.
I think the Honorable Mokwele is out of order according to rule number 50, subsection 2C. It is saying no debate on the explanation may be allowed. And it's what she's exactly doing. Thank you.
The point of order is sustained. Honorable Mokwele, can you ask your supplementary question?
it won't assist you to cover corrupt activities by ministers. It won't assist you as ANC. You are forever covering corrupt activities. You are forever members of ANC covering corrupt activities.
Let's allow her to
Honorable
finish.
Minister here, Honorable Minister, knows very well about the document that is before the House. Honorable Minister knows very well because for a director, HOD to dispense any information in the office, it must go through the minister. So he knows very well that the document will be presented before the House Chair. I'm not asking any question. And
Thank you.
we need his response speedily. Thank you.
Honorable Labuskakhne, you asked to present the document. You can do that so that we can have it. The Honorable Minister has dealt with that question.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. The document has been submitted to the Chair of the NCOP, and I'll submit this to the Minister.
Thank you. Honorable members, Honorable Minister, we now come to question 204 asked by Honorable Mohai. Honorable Minister.
The department collaborates with business, labor, and state-owned companies to deal with sectoral constraints in the sector, which includes, amongst others, issues of supply and demand of our minerals. Expanded mapping program, Invest South Africa. The entire South Africa has been mapped at 1:1 and 1:250,000 scales respectively. The Council for Geoscience is introducing an extended mapping of 1:50 scale, multidisciplinary mapping program, which seeks to address national imperatives in South Africa. Food security, minerals, and upstream petroleum exploration and mining and energy security, environmental health, hydrogeology, geohazards, carbon capture, and sequestration, and etc. It will establish the quantity of mineral reserves in the country which are still untapped. This will assist the country to attract the requisite investment into the mining sector.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Mohai.
Thank you very much, Chairperson, and of course, the Minister, thanks for the response. I just want to check if the Minister can comment on the buying local, as it's a critical component of our industrial and growth strategy. And just check on the basis of this, what is the extent of local capacity to provide necessary machinery and technology for innovation and modernization within the mining sector? Thanks, Chair.
Thank you. Honorable Minister.
The 2017 Charter recognizes this weakness of percentages of buying local. We have since increased procurement of goods to 70% locally owned companies. Procurement of services to 70% local owned companies to ensure that money revolves around and create more jobs to our people. We went with these black-owned companies, some of them, to China some weeks ago to connect them with some investors. And they came back very happy. We continue to ensure that we skill and give our locals an opportunity in this sector to ensure that they participate meaningfully.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Mtimunye.
Thank you, Honorable House Chair. Honorable Minister, again, during the provincial week last week, in Mpumalanga, Middelburg and surrounding areas, we make an observation. And I wonder to what extent does the social labor plans get enforced or monitored by your department inspectorate? There is a lot of abuse from surrounding mining communities by mining houses. A lot of abuse in respect of beneficiation, in respect of not even considering for employment, in respect of blasting when they're executing their mining. It is where their houses are cracked and so on and so on. We will forward the report to you for your consideration. But to what extent does your department monitor the social labor plans that are integral part of your approval for licensing?
Well, we have been to Mukopane ourselves, Skukune in that area, and some of the issues we are raising, we are well aware of them. Our regional officials, including the officials in the head office, assist with these matters to ensure that we deal with this weakness. But we envisage a situation, and we continue to pursue that route, where professionals in this country, business in particular, will act in a responsible manner and allow government to do other duties and functions as we assist with I don't think at any stage we'll reach a level where we can have a muscle to police all the rights that are in the country. That is why from time to time we collaborate now with the local authorities. We call our stakeholders, impress upon them that with goodwill, let's come together and ensure that our people do benefit what we all agree that they will benefit. We will pursue those and include what I've already mentioned before when it comes to the measures we are taking to tighten up the issue of SLPs. But we'll gladly wait for the information and we'll give you a feedback.
Thank you, Honorable Mohapi.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Honorable Minister, indeed, growth constraints in the mining sector has got a serious bearing in terms of the economy of the country. I think and believe Honorable Minister should be fully aware of the situation in Lees Mine in Kroonstad, where a mine had to close down, and unfortunately, the employees had to be left stranded. As we speak, most of them are still not paid their monies. I just want to check from the side of the minister if there's anything that the minister can commit to investigate and ensure that this matter is addressed once and for all for the sake of those poor communities out there who were employed by Lees Mine. Thank you.
Honorable Minister.
We are aware of that situation, Honorable Member. It has initiated a process between us and the CEOs of the mines to report regularly if they do have plans to retrench, even before they announce, because the tendency has been they'll announce first and then come back to us for Section 52. But to go straight to your question, we are seized with that matter. We are following it up. The unions have alerted us, and we're following that matter up.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Makwebo.
Ministers, one ngicela ukubuza tata. Empowerment, redress. Please tell us whether there are any workers in the mines who own shares in those mines that they are working in. And if so, what are the details? And if so, why not? Because this could be another form of empowerment. Because your ANC continuously makes a noise about radical economic transformation when there is a clear, practical examples that you should be moving towards that direction already now. What is your comment and your response, sir? Thank you.
Honorable Minister, Honorable Makwebo, even though you try to take it further, but you know the original question. Your supplementary must be linked to the original question. Let me leave it to the Honorable Minister. Honorable Minister. No. I'm not going to allow that. You are protected, Honorable Makwebo. You are protected. Honorable Minister.
Well, let me welcome the question.
Order, members.
And I'm glad that nobody in this house is saying the current mining charter does not have the features of being radical. Our organization, Honorable Member, is not only talking. We have placed it on the table. We have this document that has been discussed at the level of the court, and I'm sure beyond December, we will know the outcome, and if it is positive, South Africa will change in this sector. Addressing your question, members do own shares in various mines. What we have said is that let's have a percentage which is owned by workers. As we have said, 8% will go to the workers, 8% will go to the communities, and 14% to the entrepreneur, to ensure that we address even the specifics of how much must go to the workers. It should not only depend on the generosity of the company where the workers are working, but it is now set out clearly in this charter to address your concerns.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Allow me, honorable members, to take this opportunity to thank Honorable Mangete, Minister of Mineral Resources, for availing himself to answer questions. Thank you, Honorable Mangete. Honorable members, I now invite the Honorable Minister of Rural Development and Land Reform, Honorable Minister Nkwinti, coming to the fore. Honorable Minister, we are starting with question number 228. It was asked by Honorable Ngwenya. It's not in the House, but in terms of the rule, Honorable Vauda will be standing for Honorable Ngwenya. Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Honorable House Chair. The Office of the Valuer General has appointed a professional valuer to conduct valuations on the land in question, and with a view to purchasing that land on behalf of the community. Upon completion of the valuations, which is probably going to take about 3 months, negotiations with landowners will take place towards settlement and finalization of the claim. That's where we are right now. Thank you, Honorable.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Vauda.
Thank you very much indeed, Chairperson. Through you, Honorable Minister.
Can you speak to the mic, Honorable Vauda?
Honorable Minister, this particular claim that has been cited in this question is not the only claim that is being delayed and has been delayed nationally. There are many such claims that are being delayed, and this is depriving people of justice. Now, historically, we know that not very much has been done to facilitate these claims. But presently, what is your department doing to ensure that such claims will be facilitated and that the claims will be finalized as soon as possible? What processes and plans does your department have at this stage? Thank you.
Honorable Minister.
Honorable House Chair, we have had a very serious problem with research capacity because all of these have to do with research in the main. The honorable member is quite correct. It's a frustrating thing. However, we have outsourced the function now, and also because we really have to finalize, remember the court case, the judgment. We have to finalize that. We were given 24 months, and we have to work through the night, sometimes doing the research with the outsourced companies and universities. Thank you very much, Honorable Chair.
Honorable Minister, thank you. We now come to question 221 asked by Honorable Smith. Honorable Minister. Honorable members, it's not my responsibility to dig follow-up questions. You must be alert. I'm very alert. Honorable Smith,
Thank you.
Before you can, let me deal with it.
Because the table staff acknowledged me while you were looking around.
No, you can't be acknowledged by table staff, but it won't do any harm. I'm recognizing you.
Thank you.
I'm recognizing you.
Thank you very much, House Chair.
But let us be alert, honorable members. Let us be alert. Honorable Smith?
Honorable Minister, if your departments continue at the current rate of processing land claims, it will take around 200 plus years to finalize the old as well as the new claims. With consideration of the current economic mess left by your chosen president, which he showed again today with another unexpected reshuffle, resulting in economic decline and in a return resulting in a decline in your budget. What plans do you have to shorten this timeline?
Honorable Minister.
Honorable House Chair, I've already answered the question.
Thank you.
Let me repeat it if the honorable member wants me to do so. That we have outsourced the research, which has been the biggest problem. Thank you very much, Honorable Chair.
Thank you. We now come to question 221 asked by Honorable Smith. Honorable Minister. Honorable Minister. Okay, sorry, Honorable Minister. Honorable Mokwele.
I thought you will recognize me for the follow-up. I did. I don't have to answer to you, Ntebe, please. I don't have to answer to you. Ntebe, I don't have to answer
Honorable
to
members.
you, please. Bear with me, Ntebe, please.
Honorable members, can you keep quiet? Let's have order. Honorable members, no. Honorable members, I'm doing it for the last time. I'm appealing to all of you. If you want to do a follow-up question, you raise your hand, I'll write your name. I'm very alert. Can you ask your question, Honorable Mokwele?
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Honorable Minister. You have highlighted that your department doesn't have the capacity to do the research, hence you outsourced the services to private institutions. How much do you spend for outsourcing, plus minus? I know you can't have the accurate figures, and do you have a plan in the department where you attract the skills that are scarce so that you capacitate the department and we minimize outsourcing? And do you have, maybe if you have those that have skills, retention? Mara, what is your problem, Moen? What is your problem? What is George's problem?
No, Honorable Kwele, can you deal with me? And refer to each other appropriately. Honorable Mutimonye, you can't be disturbing an honorable member.
I'm not wasting your time. If you don't have nothing to do, you can go. Now we are here to work. Please. If you have nothing to do, go outside.
Can you finalize
I need
your question?
this information.
Can you conclude your question, Honorable Mokwele?
Yes, Chair. Thank you, Maki Hompachuno. Minister, if then you have to have the retention for those scarce skills, what is it that you are doing to make sure that you retain such credible and important people in your department? If you don't have anything, you must go home.
Honorable Minister.
Honorable, thank you, Honorable House Chair. Now, I can write back to the Honorable Member to give the figures in terms of the money. That will do. In terms of the capacity, we have internal capacity. It's not enough. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. We now come to question 221 asked by Honorable Smith. Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Honorable House Chair. There are 5,337 farms transferred since the beginning of the land reform program. There are 1,675 farms that are currently made productive. This figure has got limitation because it's an internal one. What I like is what the HSRC has done, which doesn't account to us. They did the research on this, on productivity, and they came up with 67% productive and only 33% that's not. 33% is a lot, but we think that we can do better in terms of our own internal capacity to assess the productivity here, particularly helped by agriculture, because as we remember, Honorable House Chair, it's not our responsibility to make land productive. We made the intervention of putting together this recap, taking 25% of the baseline budget for land acquisition, because we could see that there isn't much that's happening there. It's not our mandate. That's why now we have this discussion that says take it back to agriculture. So this is really the big question that is going to follow moving forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Smith.
Thank you, House Chair. Honorable Chair, what I want to know from the Minister, what does your department, together with Department of Agriculture, plan to do to stop setting these claimants up for failure? Because without that support, without ensuring all of that, it's not going to work. So I want to know, when are you planning to change this and stop putting them up for failure? Because that's what you do.
Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Honorable House Chair. I'm sure the honorable members from the Portfolio Committee meetings, you've also you may have dealt with it, but certainly the National Assembly has dealt with it. The Operation Pakisa, the targeted Operation Pakisa, involving rural development, land reform, and agriculture, exactly to deal with that question. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Mohapi.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Honorable Minister, Landskuren Farm in Mokaka Local Municipality, Fezile Dabi, was bought through Plus. The question is, since that the farm is performing well, what are the plans in terms of addressing the issue of the land reform, of ensuring that those farms that were bought through the Plus initiative are being converted into a transfer where at the end of the day there's going to be ownership, especially to those that are performing well, like the likes of Ntate Tlatsa in Landskuron, in Motaka. Thank you.
Honorable Minister.
Honorable House Chair, thank you very much. Honorable Member, exactly, that's where we are now. You will follow this probably. What we have done is we have assessed all the farms. We can provide the honorable member with the outcome. We have assessed all the farms now. We've said all those that are green, members, or those members or those farmers who are using the land right now with a use right from us, they can choose to either take a long lease of minimum 30 years or buy. That's where we are right now. Especially in the Free State, they're doing very well. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Dlamini.
Ngiyabonga Chairperson. Mina ngicela kubuta ku Minister ukuthi njengoba kwatiwa ukuthi lo mhlaba wathathwa kanjani kubanikati bawo, the original ones, bakhona yini aba willing kulaba laba uphethe nyalo, besides the government buying, to transfer back to the rightful owners? Njengoba sathi nje ukuthi liningi labo amalunga e-DA. Kwesibili ngicheke ukuthi in terms of ama skills bayakhona yini ukunceda noma babuke i-government kuphela, or they are waiting for them to fail so that they come back and take the land?
Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Honorable Chair, the first part of the question is really we have not come across that offer at all. The second part, I'm not sure how. Honorable Chair, what was the second part of the question?
No,
because the honorable member is.
We can do without subjecting you to it, Honorable Minister, because in terms of our rule, we're supposed to have a supplementary question not supplementary questions from one member. Now, Honorable Minister, let's go to question 193, asked by Honorable Pakis. Honorable Minister, 193.
Thank you, Honorable House Chair. Honorable House Chair, we have amended ESTA. And that process is already in Parliament. I don't know if it has reached this Honorable House, but it's already in Parliament. The amendment to ESTA introduced two institutions. One institution, that's dealing with the question of evictions. One institution is the land rights management committees at the municipality level. We have discussed with all the mayors of municipalities at the local level on this question, to say to them, to suggest to them that they become political champions of this program so that they could, in their own municipal councils, have these land rights management committees. Now, these would have forums as well, so that the farmers, the farm workers, or laborers, the community, they sit there with the municipality. You see, because the point here is that we don't want farmers to take this decision without having consulted the municipality and evict people. Because they evict people, people have nowhere to go. It's unconstitutional, it's unlawful in the country. So what we want them to do is to discuss at that land rights management forum, and then if, because it could be legitimate, that a person or a household could be evicted. Then, but before you do that, the municipality must assure that that person does not sit in the street. There's a house for that person. So that's one institution. The second one is, because courts take a long time, we then establish, in terms of that amendment, the Land Rights Management Board, so that if there's that conflict does not get resolved at the Land Rights Management Committee level, the appeal is done. The first step is going to the Land Rights Management Board rather than going to court, so that we can resolve these matters faster and ensure that the evictions are stopped. Honorable Chair, that's really what we have done right now. If that doesn't come to the House, probably it's coming, but it's been sitting in the National Assembly for a while now. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Pakis.
I want to alert the Minister about the case in the Free State in Bethlehem, the Apple project, where our people have been robbed of the land in an illegal or so alleged illegal transaction, which reduced them just to be mere ciphers in that particular farm, and the land went back to the white people. Can the Minister commit to investigate that particular case in the Free State? Thanks.
Honorable Minister.
Honorable House, thanks very much. Thank you very much, Honorable Pakis. We can talk about that. I'll be happy to hear that. We do come across this kind of thing, by the way, Honorable Chair, because it relates as well to the question which was asked by the Honorable Mayor, the former Mayor. That was my former Mayor. So it relates to that. We do come across that. Part of how it happens, and this is something that I wish we could all be alert to. This is how it happens. You see, now when we give certificates, even to this, title deeds to these farmers go to the bank, they get a loan. They can't service the loan. And what do? They go back to that farmer and give that title deed to that farmer. That farmer employs them. Instead of becoming owners and making business, they go back to the situation before the whole transaction was concluded. So this is a matter which is a big challenge. We come across that. We will be happy to have a discussion and get the name of the farm from the Honorable. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Minister, we come to now question 185 asked by Honorable Gaylor. Honorable Minister.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable House Chair. The per province. The Honorable Gaylor has asked in terms of provinces. In the Eastern Cape, there are 7. 3 of them are Kwalindile, Highbury, and Kokonga. The rate is very low, as there are delays in serving papers or court papers too, in this regard. After determination through the settlement or a court order, an alternative land or financial compensation will be awarded. It depends on what the people will say, because that's one of the challenges in terms of hectares that are transferred. People settle for money. They want financial compensation. So maybe honorable members would also assist in this regard. Free State only 1, and then of course the same process at the end. But in the Free State, there's none that relates to the number of. It's only 1 that is falling in the category. What is not there, I'm saying, pieces of land in each claim have removal court orders. It doesn't have a court order. That's when I say 9, that will column the next thing that says in Gauteng 2, and there's none. Again, that question falls away there, but the determination remains the same. In KwaZulu-Natal is 21, again, there's none there in terms of that falls away, but the determination is the same. In other words, court orders, none. And then in Limpopo, there are 3 farms that are affected, or claims that are affected. Again, none is before court, except for the very recent one, which which is going to court. It's related to this kind of thing, but it's not exactly. But it's in court. I don't want honorable member to confuse that. The Muhlaba one, don't confuse that. That's not a claim. It's a different matter. It's a different dynamic, but it relates very closely to this kind of. It could be mistaken for a claim. It's not yet. So, and then there's Mpumalanga, there are 6, Luli, Matsafeni, Wales, BST Kral, Spruit, Injaka, Waterfall, Andover, and Sisonke. And that again relates to the court order served, except for Sisonke claim. So the determination is the same in terms of the determination. Then you have Northern Cape is 3, none, and that falls away completely. Northwest, 1, none, again, that falls away. Remember, the determination remains the same in the event. And lastly, Western Cape 2, last test favor, and during this one, in District 6. District 6 court order granted, last test favor, case is pending. Again, the determination would happen in the same way that we have read with other. That's the end, Honorable Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Gaylor.
Ndiyabulela mphathiswa. Ndizocela uba sicengane ke kulena sobabini. Nqorhane.
Mike, Honorable Gaylor, so uzoncenga kakuhle.
Sicengane ndiyakubona uba nomhlanga. Apha, Honorable Minister, kwezi claim uthetha ngazo Eastern Cape, kudala zikhona. Ingxaki zakho ndiyazazi ezininzi, uba niyofumana kukho iikomiti ezininzi ngamanye amaxesha. But oyena ndoqo umkhulu, kubana abantu baphelelwa ngumhlaba, singakafayinelwa zezi claim. Andazi ke noba amagosa akho akuxelela, ubana uyayibhara umhlaba uphelile tu. But abantu, it's over 10 years belinde ubana kufanele ziclaim abantu abayi-54. Nezo structure bezipha ziphelile. Worst of all, court orders bakhona azimplementwa. Andazi ke noba nisebenzisana ne-Department yamapolisa, but ikhona ingxaki ekhoyo. Because once i-court orders inga-implementwa, akho ingxaki ekhoyo. Now, umbuzo ngulo, njengoba kuphele umhlaba kwezinye indawo uthathiwe ngendlela engekho right, nibabuyisela kanjani nomhlaba wabo abantu abana? Kokugqibela, nicinga ubana kudala sike sahlale ofisini abantu baseHayibhari, sisono laa nto iqhubeka phaa. Mna ndiyarhalela ukuyozibonela, ukuya uyeka uva nge-officials, uyozibonela uba kuqhubeka ntoni phaa, akho developer, akho ntoni na. But abantu bane-resource ekuthiwa ngamanzi, umthatha dem. Now, nokucinga, noba ubuyibuyela kule nto, noba uyiphendule ngokuna, Lando inga finalized nini na, because as a claimants i-54 ezinye ziswelekile. Ndiyacela bana uye nabo iphendla ngendlu ngokuna ukubuyela endlini in writing. When will that claim be finalized? Okwesibini, as court orders singadeske zi-implemented, because at the end kukho abantu phayana abathengisa umhlaba imali engayi kurhulumente engena kumuntu othile okanye engena kumepokothini. How do you address that thing? And la mihlaba ithengiswa ngemali ezinkulu. I'm sure uyayazi loo nto leyo. Enkosi.
Honorable Minister.
Mhlonipheki ochophela inhlanganiso. Indlu ehloniphekileyo. Xa umuntu eyazi ukuba ngubani lo ophula umthetho, kufuneka aye emapoliseni. Ayonika ingxelo emapoliseni ukuze amapolisa akwazi uthatha amanyathelo. Kodwa xa inkundla yamatyala iwisile isigwebo, amapolisa angawenza umsebenzi wawo. Ithini loo nto? Ngoba ayisithi ke ngoku ekufuneka asinagunya mosithina lo uthi mapolisa banokwenza lento. Ngabantu amapolisa ngabantu abamele ubabona baphambili ukuqinisekisa uba isigwebo senkundla siyenzeka. Injalo kanye yabona ke xa uthetha usiva badla ngokuthi hayi soba lento inento kwenza neziphathamandla zakamasipalathi. Qinisekile umhloniphe ukayive loo nto emthatha. Iyathethwa loo nto. Ngizama ukuthi ke mhlali ngaphambili ochophela inhlanganiso ohlonipheke kakhulu. Ndiyacela ndiyayivuma into yoba ndidibane nayo umhlonipheki esithethe.
Siyabulela. Honorable Smith.
Thank you, House Chair. Honourable Minister, with all these illegal occupations of land taking place all over the country, the government is currently sitting on about 3 million hectares of land, which it can redistribute. This would go a long way to relieve this situation. When will you hand over the land to these people?
Honorable Minister.
Honorable House Chair, the Honorable Member keeps asking the same question. That has been asked and answered. And now we have answered that question by saying that, Honorable Chair, that we have got 3 categories of people under that policy plus. There are those who are performing very well. There are those who still need some support. There are those who really, we need to implement the use it or lose it principle, because they are not, let me use this, helpable, in inverted commas, because I don't know if there's an English word for that. So that is what I said. And I said those who are green could either take a long lease or buy. That's what I said. I'm repeating it, Honorable Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Trimbi.
Ndiyabulela kakhulu mphathi sihlalo. Bendifuna ubuza apha kumphathiswa ukuthi njengokuba ucacile into kokuba mhlawumbe isingathi ngoku sisebenza njengezicimamlilo. Ingaba ikhona indlela yentsebenziswano phakathi kwedepartment yakho kunye namapolisa omasipala kunye nabantu bokuhlala ukugada abantu abathatha umhlaba ngokungekho semthethweni, kuba kaloku kweli lizwe sinomgaqo siseko, sinomthetho, and siyayoyika into esike sayibona kumazwe ommelwane ebumelwane abantu abarhwaphiliza umhlaba ngaphandle komthetho. Singatsho ke phofu into obumhlaba mawungabuyeli ebantwini bawo. khona indlela yokuba umhlaba siwuprotecte because sekugcwele ngokwe as court orders endicinga into yokuba ziyasokolisa akho ndlela yokuba siwugade umhlaba ungaduthathwe ngodlame. Enkosi Mphathiswa.
Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Honorable House Chair. Kuko impendulo beke ndayinika apha qanda ithetha ngesingesi ethi i-land rights management for us and sithe umasipalati ndivene neemeya zonke uba umasipalati mababe nazo i-land rights management committees. Eza committees zizawujongana exactly nala ngxaki umhlonipheki ayibhekisa kuyo. Ngoba xa usepitula uzoyibona into eyenzeka apha. So omeya be-local municipalities bazawuncedisana nathi uqiniseka into yoba abantu xa besenza udlame ngothatha umhlaba ngodli kube lula ingade igqithe la 48 hours abantu bekula mhlaba ngoba ngokwephayi kufuneka ixesha ulijonge loba uresponde kulento. So yiyo lento sicele omeya be-local municipalities uba ibe ngabo abajongene nalo msebenzi. Ngulobe ndithi ukula amendment ka-Esther. Kodwa ndiyayibulela into yoba umhlonipheki ayibuze ngoba ndiyayidibanisa noko ndilungiselela nabantu abangathethi isingesi.
Enkosi. Honorable Minister, we now come to question 224 asked by Honorable Kaula, who's not in the House in terms of our rule. Proper arrangement was made and Honorable Kaila will be standing in for Honorable Kaula. Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Honorable House Chair. Honorable House Chair, this is one of the very excited enterprises in the Eastern Cape, Necha Macadamia. Now, we spent here in terms of the question here 72 million rands on this program. This is what is budgeted for it. Now, it has got two phases. Phase one is a bulk water distribution infrastructure and storage reservoir, which is 100% complete now. And phase two, which means a pump station, rising main and reservoir, is 80% complete, due to be completed by March 2018. The Department of Rural Development Land Review have used this investment made above as a catalyst for macadamia industry expansion in the province, because already now it's going to Utumalsile has joined this project, so they're going to go to us to do the same there. They are actually exporting. They're making money now, and hopefully the same will happen with Utumalsile. Thank you, Honorable House Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Kaila.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. You say you've already spent 72 million on the project. Is there any more money that is going to be spent on the project? And if so, about how much more money are we going to put in the project? And are you happy with the benefits of the locals in that project? Thank you.
Honorable Minister.
Apart from the completion of the reservoir, which is 80%, no. The answer is no, Honorable Chair.
Thank you. Honorable Samka.
Enkosi ngihlale ngaphambili. Umbuzo wami kohloniphekileyo umphathiswa gulo. Ingaba zikhona na iziphumo ezibonakalayo umphathiswa kula project yaseNcecha kubemi balandawo ngokubhekisele ekuphuhliseni izakhono kwicala lezoqoqosho ngokubanzi. Enkosi Sihlalo.
Honorable Minister.
La project ngethamsanqa yaqalwa ndim ndingu-MEC we-agriculture ndiyayiqonda kakuhle into yayo. Bengumeya ngelo xesha umphathiswa umhlonipheki uNcidi. Sibe kunye siqale kunye sincedwe ngabe kukhona ifamily le esuke eDurban eKZN rather yazo balapha ndiyafika ngoku ndinguminister phaya sihlalo ohloniphekileyo aba bantu ndandifika ngoko sasiba introducer bezi ordinary workers managers abanye ngoku zilento baphethe ngoku bangabo abantu abaphethe la yonke lanto yenzeka phaya ngabo aba ngoku ufika ndithi hawu madoda ngoku nani ntombi sisinani bathi hayi sithi sekuphethe thina ngoku. Siyabulela sihlalo.
Siyabulela, Minister. Honorable Minister, we now come to question 197 asked by Honorable Mohai. Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Honorable House Chair. Honorable House Chair, the answer here is yes. And then saying that, budget, you'll never really have enough money for acquiring this land we're talking about here. Because this is really the big challenge here. Budget deficiency is the first thing that is a challenge. But of course, in terms of trying to deal with that institutionally, one of the things we've done, we've introduced this Office of the Valuer General in the country. You may have read, honorable members may have read about this. And because the second thing we did, and of course this was, the honorable member is asking this question correctly and appropriately because the governing body took a resolution on this matter to say, let us establish let us put together a law that will regulate the ownership, in terms of quantum, the ownership of agricultural land in the country. So that you don't have, as I was saying the other day, giants, if singohile South Africa, singohile song, song. So the honorable member is quite right. So, Honorable Chair, the first year of that office, that is 2015-16, rather 2016-17, we saved 176 million rands in terms of the price of the land, and therefore we were able to acquire more land. You see, this is the reason that was in the media, is that there are regulations now that we are putting together there. We are amending the regulations because what we want to do, one of the things that institutionally we found out is that you can't say, when I buy your farm, you say it's 20 rands. And then when I ask you to declare when you declare, you say, this business is worth 15 rands. But when I come and buy the farm, you say it's worth 25 rands. Do you see? So that's why you see this big noise about the regulations on the Property Valuation Act now. It's because we want to tie up the Office of the Valuer General with SARS. Secondly, we then say, in the regulation of agricultural land bill, that's going to come here to this house soon. We're saying there must be a land commission. That commission will force every South African, whether it's an institution or individual, to declare their land ownership in the country. Secondly, what it does, it then says that it will determine the extent or the quantum of holding in terms of hectares per institution or person, so that whatever goes above that is then bought by the state. Then I was saying the other day, it's up to parliamentarians, both opposition and governing party, when the bill is here, to determine whether the extra land, after determining the extent in terms of small scale, medium scale, large scale, whether the extra should be in fact expropriated with or without compensation. That's going to be your job. That's what that bill is providing for. It's coming to this house. I'm interested in getting that. I'm answering that question from the Honorable Member. Then the last two is 8.2 million hectares of land have been acquired and restored. That's 4.8 redistribution and tenure reform and 3.4 restitution. And then 2.3 million people have benefited from the land reform program of South Africa. 290,000 redistribution and 2 million restitution. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Mohai.
Siyabonga mhlala phambili and siyabulela Minister for your comprehensive response on this very critical area of our social transformation. Minister will certainly be aware of a narrative in the public discourse about some of the beneficiaries of land reform who sell their land after acquisition. Is there any mechanism with the department, within the department to audit these types of transactions, Minister? And lastly, is there any policy to deal with acquisition and ownership of land by foreign nationals? Thanks, Chairperson.
Thank you. Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Honorable House Chair. Let me start with the last one because it's easy. That's one of the provisions of the bill I was talking about, regulation of agricultural land holding, rather agricultural land bill that's coming through. That's one of the things. It does actually say no foreigner will own land in the country, but they would be eligible to leasing the land. So the first one, which is that's really, it relates very much to what the Honorable Pakis was raising, because that's and it would be nice if the honorable members would assist as well on this, just to identify for us. Let us know, because what is happening now, in the Free State. Let's take Free State. Upitso has just lost a farm in the Free State. Exactly this. Not because he did that, but because now what's happening is that you can't manage it. And there are people, there are workers on the farm. What the department did was to buy that land back and give it to the workers. You see, yes, because you see, you can't have people. Remember the principle, use it or lose it, because you are not the only one. The Free State, Honorable Pakis might know, and other honorable member from the Free State. It's a sad thing, but what can you do? Because that land was going to ABSA, because the farmer owed ABSA. It's happening all across the country. But you can't do it again and again and again. We asked, we started a program. My mayor had raised this question. We started a program, Honorable Chair, called Strategic Partnership with commercial farmers in the country. We were hoping that they would see that as an opportunity to help the emerging farmers. By now, we would be having many commercial farmers who are black. And in that category, the Honorable Smith was asking, the green category, and therefore being in a position to buy the land without the threat that the land could be repossessed by the same people. That is why we're keeping the land now and giving the land to the people as land use rights, as a land use right, so that they are strong enough, they can stand it and not have the land taken back by the banks. By the time when we started, Honorable Chair, in 2009, already 5% of land which had been acquired was gone. It was gone. Back to where it was bought from, because we thought that people will do it. They got the farms, they went to the banks, including the land bank, by the way. We put in 208 million rands immediately in 2009. We didn't budget for it, but we're saving 14 farms from the land bank. Our own institution as a state, we saved those farms. The money is still with them because we're protecting other farmers now who are emerging. We're using that money. It's there now, it's made interest. It's about 280-something million rands now. So we are using that money because now we're working with the land bank. They go to land bank. There's no gambling. We're strategic. The honorable member is not able to understand what is gambling and strategic. You see, this, what we do is, what we've done now, we've agreed with the land bank that farmers will go to the land bank and the land bank, and they'll get a loan from the land bank.
Honorable Minister, Honorable Smith, what is the point of order?
In terms of our rules, the minister have got 4 minutes to respond, and it seems like he's delivering a speech now.
He's just worried.
Honorable Smith, you are out of order. I do have the time here.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Let me finish. Let me finish, Honorable
Finish
Chair.
in your 10 seconds, Minister.
The honorable member is hurting now. The truth is hurting and so on. So, yes, thank you very much, Honorable Chair.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Mangete.
Ngiyabonga sihlalo. Mphathiswa ngisacela ukubuza ukuthi intsha ihlomula kanjani eminyangweni wezokubuyiselwa komhlaba. Enye intsha inama qualifications enawo already kwa agriculture. Abanye babo uze kufike izingeni ne masters ku agriculture. And sonke siyazi ukuthi intsha ayiqashiwe ubuningi bayo. Kodwa sebewatholile ama skills athize kwa agriculture. Manje nake they are entrants into the field of agriculture. They have not been able to accumulate any collateral that they can use in any bank to ensure that they access that size of land that they are looking for. Let me cite a practical example. Young people approach us or me as a public representative. They say we've got an idea to farm in bamboo. I'm citing an example. And for us to have a thriving agricultural activity, we need 400 hectares. We have Googled and we have seen the range of farms that can be able to secure. They range between 8 million to 20
It's
million.
2 minutes, 10 seconds to go.
Now, how do they get assisted by your department, Minister, to secure the land? Because they will never be in a position to buy it on their own. And what would be the terms that are going to be entered into for them to be able to secure land? Thank you.
Honorable Minister.
Honorable House Chair, that's exactly the point I've just been talking to. The land bank, advise them to go to the land bank. We have an agreement with the land bank. We've got money sitting there with them. Advise them to go to the land bank. At the land bank, they must ask for a loan. The land bank will say, we can give you so much, but what is the difference? Go to rural development. And we are prioritizing, we have got 7 priorities. One of them is agricultural graduates. So let them go there because it makes it easy for us. That's what we are doing right now. Remember when I was saying that we put money in the land bank to save farms, and now we're using that money as a collateral to assist those kind of farmers. Youth, we're just establishing like we did with the women. By the way, on Women's Day, we launched here a women's, rural women in design and craft, and arts and craft rather. Here, whilst honorable members were busy here, we're busy in town here with women, rural women in South Africa. The same thing we're doing with the youth. So that the youth must have their own cooperative bank. That's what we started with the women. The women have already paid the initial 100,000 rands. We've budgeted 1 million rands for them now. This is exactly what's happening with the youth. The rural youth, NARISEC, National Rural Youth Service Corps. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Smith.
Thank you, House Chair. Honorable Minister, through all the waffle and the excuses on why people mustn't get the land or why it shouldn't be handed over to them, can you please be honest with South Africa and put it on record today that you and your ANC government have got no intention of giving the land to the landless?
You know,
but
the thief,
rather
the thief
to use
says it,
them
Honorable
But
members,
rather
honorable
to use
members.
them. Can I be protected, Chair?
I'm
busy
trying to
asking my
do
question.
exactly that. Honorable members, let's allow him to put the question to the minister. The minister will deal with it. Honorable Smith, you are protected.
But rather to use them to capture the land in this country so that the state can control all the land. And that is your main idea. You are using these people to get your hands on the land. Just be honest and put it on record today. Thank you.
Honorable Minister.
Honorable House Chair, thank you very much.
Honorable members, let's allow the minister to respond.
Honorable Chair, the irony is that the honorable member, he says, if you are honest. You heard him. Now, the irony is that they actually, in some instances, even stole the land, but basically, they grabbed the land. The first place where they grabbed the land was here. In 1659, Jan van Riebeck's diary is clear. The first people who put up a shack in South Africa were the Khoi.
Honorable Minister, let me deal with Honorable Mokwele first. I'll come to you.
On a point,
Take your seat.
on a point of privilege, Chair, why then should we buy a stolen property? Why should we gamble with our money?
No.
Why don't your
Honorable
government
Mokwele.
just
Honorable Mokwele, we can't allow
legislate?
the point of privilege. Let's allow the minister to respond. Let me deal with Honorable Engelbrecht. Honorable Engelbrecht, is that a point of order? Okay, let me hear the point of order.
Mr. Chair, the minister says he was here when the land was grabbed in 1659. So I want to congratulate him on his 500th birthday.
No.
So he was
Honorable
around.
Engelbrecht.
Congratulations, Minister.
Let's allow the minister to continue. No, take your seat. Let's allow the minister to continue.
Honorable House Chair, now, the honorable member is saying, if you are honest, give people land. Can you imagine that? Here are people who are actually
let's allow the
reluctant
minister to
hand
finish. I'll
over
come back to
land.
you. I'll come back.
The reason we are going through these processes of having valuers general, all of these things, is because they don't want to give the land back. And we are a decent democracy. We are a decent constitutional democracy. We are not, look, Honorable Chair, Honorable Chair.
Honorable members,
Honorable
let's
Chair.
allow the minister.
Honorable Chair.
We have asked a question.
Yes. Honorable Chair, in that diary, they don't say what they did. He just said, we called our men. They killed them. They killed South Africans here in order to take the land. So the honorable member is saying, hey, you don't want to give people land. No. It's the time of non-house is gone. As for me. The date for non-house as for me. It's just that today, Honorable Chair, House Chair, the difference between us and them is simple. We are very decent. We are very decent. That's the difference. Those people who did that, those were thugs. Those thugs took the land through force of arms.
Honorable members, can you take your seat? Let's allow the minister to respond. What is the problem? Honorable Minister, your time, the second, it's gone. Can you take your seat, all of you? Can you take your seat, all of you? Can you take your seat, all of you? Even Mokwele was standing. Honorable Engelbrecht. Honorable Engelbrecht. The first person to stand up was Honorable Mokwele. The second one was Honorable Keila. You are the third one. The fourth one is Honorable Dlamini. Can all of you take your seat? No, can all of you take your seat? Can you take your seat? Take your seat. Honorable members, honorable members, honorable members, you ask question to the honorable minister. The honorable minister is dealing with your questions. Can you now allow me to take this opportunity to thank the Minister of Rural Development and Land Reform. I would like to thank you, Minister, for dealing with this emotive issue of the land question. That concludes the business of the day. Honorable members are requested to remain standing until the procession has left the chamber. The House is adjourned. Thank you.